Coming home at 4 a.m., staring at the holes in the ceiling. Feels a little smaller now as I'm trying harder to breathe in. Lying in the sheets, caught up in between dreaming and a nightmare. Ghost in the machine, you're haunting my sleep, a familiar stranger. Loving can be so hard sometimes. Give me a feeling in the silence. I need you as my alibi to wake me up tonight. Nothing I change to make me right. Trying, but there's nowhere to hide. So I need you as my alibi to wake me up tonight. Waking in the morning, I can't hear you in the kitchen. Nothing feels right.
Welcome back to Shift Summer League. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final day of league play. Of course, we've got a couple more days to go next week with the playoff bracket, but this is our final day of this week, and we have got an incredible lineup of matches today. Spaceman and Corelli here with me once again. Spaceman, how are you feeling today?
Feeling great, dude. It's been a wonderful couple of days of Rocket League. It's been a wonderful past couple of weeks. It's a sad day that we're all coming down to the wire here for the last couple of matches, but it just means playoffs is next week. So I'm looking forward to everything we got going.
And Corelli,
Feeling good. Another day in paradise. Yesterday, we had some banger matches. It's going to be tough
That's right,
to
baby.
beat yesterday. We capped it off with a 3-0, which, compared to the other matches, they were going 5, but that 3-0 was a lot of fun to watch from RMC. And NA, they've given us a show so far.
they sure have. Well, let's take a look at the standings and see where everybody is currently sitting right now as we move into the final day. Today, folks, is you're going to lock in a spot in the playoff bracket, or you're going to be hitting the road and concluding your Shift Summer League stay. We've got RMC at the top, 12-3, a confident, consistent run. They have been so impressive throughout. We've got G2 at 11-4. In second place, Gen G 9-6, tied with Space Station and Rebellion. With that 9-6 record, we got OG and Dignitas tied at 7-8, and that's a tight race. That's going to be super exciting to see how those two teams perform today. You got Poab a couple behind, 5-10 record, of course, incorrect, down in the 9 spot, 4-11. And Fun is currently our only team that cannot make the playoff bracket, but we've got an exciting day ahead. We're going to take a look at the history of things, but before we get into that, I want to highlight a couple things. We have two teams that have already locked their spot in. RMC, they're locked into the upper side. Okay, so today's results, of course, they want to get the best possible seed. I'm sure they would love to just, finish league play at the top, but they are in the upper bracket semifinals. And what that means is they have an extra life. They get 2 losses before they're eliminated, as opposed to the lower side. G2 is locked in the top 6. Okay, so they are not fully locked into the top 4 just yet, but they will be alive in the playoff bracket. So those are our 2 teams that are fully locked in. We have 4 spots remaining. Only 4, 8 teams fighting for those 4 spots. So let's take a look at the history of league play and see how these teams have performed throughout our prior 3 weeks. G2, you can see with a hot start there, as we expected, through, the beginning of day 2, I think that is. And then they started to tumble downwards. Of course, they only made it down to the 6th spot and bounced back up to the top, as expected from G2. And then we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but obviously RMC, very impressive. You guys, you pointed out Space Station as well. Space Station has been quite consistent in that top 4 area, only dropping below, I think, once or twice. You can see it here, a little bit less chaotic. Space Station doing what they're supposed to do, right? They're in that top 4, top 5 category in North America, and that's kind of where they have stayed. Any standout that you want to point out here as we look at the full graph, Spaceman?
Yeah, I want to go back just a minute to talk about Dignitas. At the start of day 1 of week 2 of our Shift Summer League, that's where the drop-off happened. You can see it, round 7. That's the start.
Oh,
and then
man.
round 8, week 2, right there, they just start plummeting. And I don't mean to harp on the horse here, but I do want to talk more about it, where this is a team that was sitting pretty comfortably within the top 3. I was very impressed with their continuous evolution as this league was going on, especially with the Zanil pickup. We had Jorby on the stream at that point. We were talking about how the glue of this team seemed to be Zanil. Maybe he was kind of the starting ingredient to really get this entire thing going. And then all of a sudden, it's just been a pretty catastrophic drop-off. They have just dropped all the way down to 7th, and unfortunately, their destiny is not really in their hands unless they win flat out, say, 3-0s. They're playing G2, so is OG, and they have to contend against OG for that top 6 spot. So it's unfortunate to see for sure, because there hasn't been a bounce back.
Yeah, Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I'm glad that we switched to OG here, because that's what I wanted to talk about. And just kind of like what Dignitas and OG have to do here. Dignitas is playing RMC today, and they're playing G2. Oof. And then OG, they're playing G2, and they're playing Gen G. And now OG, you can see the way they have gone throughout this. They started off very, very poorly. Well, they started off in 3rd, but it was just a downtrend all the way into 9th at one point. They were just above Fun. And they have battled back. They did well yesterday. You can see, even though they're holding that 7th spot, they're holding that 6th spot, they're slowly stair-stepping back up. For OG, they're a couple games behind Shopify, but they're definitely the team to watch right now. I know Dignitas is tied with them, but I think that OG right now have shown the most progression throughout this league play for a team at least that's like dropped down to 9th. They've really battled back, and it's going to be a big day for both OG and Dignitas.
And we heard in that comm interview as well, he said that they lean so heavily on that experience. Those 3 guys, as a unit, one of the most experienced units in North America. They've been around the block forever. And calm, he was just very calm and composed about it. He said, look, we're going to lose games. I'm going to lose a lot more. I know I'm going to. And he doesn't let it bother him. They talked about, just having that, I guess, composure, not getting too high, not getting too low, just staying calm, staying mellow, staying right in the middle. And that has allowed them to always remain relevant, no matter how poor they may start or what situation they may find themselves in. Well, let's do this. We're taking a look at the standings. We're taking a look at the standings history, including the entire league play and every team. Let's take a look at yesterday's top 5 plays. Spaceman.
Oh, baby.
Drop it on us.
Yesterday was kind of a highlight reel for RMC. I promise I didn't get too biased with this one. You're actually only going to see a couple of clips from the boys. But let's talk about the top 5, because, folks, we got a fun one. Beast Mode decided to do Beast Mode things, but I want to start off with the one, the only, the Canadian superstar, Mr. J-Naps himself. This was a fun one for Mr. J-Naps. Now, granted, he took a little page out of Garrett G's playbook. I think this was like back to season 3, season 4, Garrett. Right up through the ceiling. Still not going to forgive Garrett for letting my boy Corelli go unpicked up into the ESL Cups, man. Garrett, you should have picked up my man. But guess what? J-Naps into the ceiling, uses it perfectly. Shut up, Corelli. J-Naps throws it right down. A nice little reset on their heads. Let's get it going now to number 4. Shopify, a little bit around the horn here. This was a 0-second goal, and we're just doing some Harlem Globetrotting. Uno, dos, tres, off the backboard. Cuatro set it up in the open box. The next number in Spanish. Look at that pickup right inside the box. Parts. It's beautiful all the way around. 0 seconds. It looks fantastic, and it was, because 2P sets this up on a dime. The challenge doesn't matter. All around the horn. Justin with a great pass to Parth, and they close the deal with 0 seconds to tie it up. Shopify look really, really, really good. We're gonna have to keep an eye on them today. Speaking of, now number 3, Magic Bear. Here we go. It's a little Corelli special downfield for Magic Bear. Listen, sometimes routine players make routine plays, Magic Bear being one of them. And if you don't have a trophy to show for it, it doesn't matter, because Magic Bear is going to win Worlds this year. Cheese sets it up from the midfield. Magic Bear crashes into the box, and RMC looked fantastic. They looked amazing. They looked otherworldly, godlike. Now, give me the number 2, Beast Mode. Redirect through the corner. This is where things just get really dicey for SSG. You're probably wondering, all right, the defense got at the midfield. No, they don't. Beast Mode already redirects it on its way. Let's watch this one more time. Let's roll this tape back and look at this replay, because he gets the reset upside down. He uses his flick. Watch this. Ready. Flick upside down. Mink. Where's that going? Right into your net. No way to stop it. No way to defend it. Corelli on the call was like, how do you defend against that? I'm like, I know, Corelli. I don't know. Pick it up in 0 seconds. Beast Mode back-to-back plays now for number 1. Guess what? G2 were just too unbeatable, and it's because of Beast Mode. Let's just watch this, okay? Everybody collectively take a breath. Watch it.
Oof.
Yeah, you're not going to stop that, dude. I'm sorry. I don't know how you're supposed to defend against this kid. I don't know how you're supposed to, I don't know, maybe shut him down with 0 seconds. That's a quality challenge from LJ. I saw him getting roasted on Twitter and on Reddit. They're like, LJ shouldn't have challenged that. Listen, Daniel gave up possession. You have to challenge it. I'm sorry. Either way, 0 seconds, beast mode redirect. It was impossible to save. It's not going to happen. Beast mode's too good. That's your top 5. It was really difficult to not put RMC in like all 5 slots, but beast mode just categorically the best player yesterday. He was everywhere, and he willed them to a win in that game, which was kind of nuts, man. So
he was showing up in critical moments for G2 when they needed him most, you could say. The top 5 yesterday, I know it was tough. It felt like we could have had like top 15 maybe. There were so many good plays, and that's just on our stream here. Of course, there's all kinds of highlights going on around the league. Well, listen, we've got some of those players that we just saw in the top 5 that are catching fire. And we're going to talk about it real quick. This is Hootie's Heat Check. It's the Summer League. It's hot. We are on fire. And we've got Cheese, who is burnt all the way. Toast, beast mode. Is he LeBron? I'm not sure, but he's 95 degrees on his way up. JNaps, of course. Sunny with a chance, 92 degrees. We got RMC, G2, and OG Esports rocking and rolling yesterday. We've got a few clips to show exactly how impressive they were. And here's the problem. We've got Cheese for RMC, but he alone, it was so tough to call. But right here, we got JNaps with OG, and we saw that in Spaceman's top 5 as well. What an impressive play from JNaps. One of the things we talked about yesterday was how old JNaps is. And the reality is, I think he's 24. That's not very old in the grand scheme of things. But when we talk about old in Rocket League, I think a lot of times people are referring to how long you've been around. JNaps has been around since season 3, 4, very early on, and he is still rolling. You know, there are very few peers that began their RLCS career around the time that JNaps did. We've had players come and go, and all the time, JNaps remains consistent. We can see it here, the mechanics. He has to continue to develop them. If he doesn't, of course, he's going to be left behind like a lot of his peers, but he keeps rolling. There's a double tap. We've got one more play here from JNaps. A big win against Rebellion yesterday on stream. And this is so impressive because this is, I think, part of what Com was alluding to in that interview, that experience. It's not only the mechanical ability, it's the presence. JNaps picks up that corner boost. Com is communicating, hey, I'm bumping, slide in, slot this to the left side, allowed OG to take that victory in Game 5. Now, we also got a player that you may be familiar with, Beast Mode. He makes himself known, and he did that yesterday in a huge way against Space Station. Again, some of these plays you're going to see in that top 5. Daniel, the outlet pass, Beast Mode. What more to be said? The man is upside down, redirecting to the far side, up the field. Borelli and Spaceman have both talked about it. How do you stop it? You just can't. Beast Mode. What a legend. G2 as a whole yesterday, I think, the same thing I was talking about with RMC, it can be said for G2 as well. It's so difficult to select a specific player because all 3 of them are really doing their thing. But I want you to pay attention here. Look, Beast Mode's already up. He's behind Atomic, and more communication. You can see Atomic lofted high. Beast Mode's off the backboard. That communication, 1, 2, 3. Some of my most favorite plays are when you get the full team involved. And this, we're going to take another look at it. Daniel drops it low, and Beast Mode, just magic out of the hat. Catches Hoxer off guard. And, the thing is, Hoxer is actually ready, right? But he's ready for a near side shot. He thinks there's no way Beast Mode's going to be moving from left to right and somehow shoot it over my head to the far post. Unbelievable stuff from Beast Mode. And now we get to Cheese. And this is what I was talking about. I told Corelli and Spaceman before the show, I probably could have just selected Reddles, Magic, and Cheese as my players heating up. They were unbelievable yesterday in the series against Gen G. But this right here holds a special place in my heart. I've always been a fan of these kickoff plays, and we see Raw Greg and the RMC side calling out for a specialty, a set piece there, and Cheese, of course, capitalizing, making the most of that opportunity. And right here, Cheese, again, the thing that I think was so difficult as far as selecting these players is that Cheese was getting involved in more ways than one. It's not just shooting. Of course, we see him rebounding this play from Magic Bear's wayward shot, but Cheese is remaining active in these plays. He's causing problems for the defense on his rotation out. He's doing so much for this team. As I'm watching these replays and trying to collect some plays, I see Cheese doing work on defense, doing work in the offensive half as well. He's just all over the field. And the communication with RMC yesterday was just absolutely perfect. Right here, we're going to see a 1-2, Cheese to Reddles, Reddles to Cheese. the fake, and then Reynolds finds the top shelf. Cheese heating up, and he's the MVP or from last week. So to see him continue rocking like this has been impressive. RMC at the top of the league. Man, what a treat it has been to watch those guys play throughout this league play. There's our players that are heating up. We got Cheese. We got JNabs. You guys called it out yesterday in the series. He was such a pivotal piece of why OG was able to get that win in the Rebellion series. And, of course, Beast Mode. No surprise to see him there.
No, Beast Mode, incredible. I even picked him out. Hoodie, you asked me yesterday, who needs to be the big playmaker for G2. And I picked out Beast Mode. I know it's kind of an obvious pick, but you can see what happens when he gets these weird, wacky opportunities. He made it work. Cheese, I think, is definitely reaching his potential for RMC and kind of what we expected throughout RLCS for the former LG squad. When Cheese is at his best, these games are so much easier for RMC. I mean, it is a completely different look from them. Spaceman and I were beside ourselves watching them play yesterday as a duo who has literally watched every public game available on the biggest stage. That was a team that was unrecognizable in the best way possible. And so, listen, it's great to do that now. It's great to do it at the end of league play. They got another day where they can maybe show us that they can continue through an entire league play at a level like that.
Incredible stuff from RMC. Well, let's do this. We've got some great matches on the docket for today. Let's take a look at our match schedule across the board. We'll see what's going to be highlighted on the mainstream as well. But this is what we've got all across the board. At 7 p.m., you can see that first column, Space Station, Incorrect, Dig, RMC, Pirates versus Fun, Rebellion versus Gen G, and OG versus G2. That's going to be our opening round. And, of course, we've got matches to follow 50 minutes later at 7:50 p.m., Pirates and Dig, Gen G, OG, Rebellion, Space Station, G2, RMC, Incorrect, and Fun. And then, of course, our final round of league play, completing the full season of matches, Space Station, Pirates, Gen G, Incorrect, RMC, and Rebellion. That's going to be a fun one. Dig versus G2, and OG versus Fun. There is the full schedule of matches that will be going on this evening. If you want to catch those, do exclamation point, I think it's exclamation point stream, or maybe broadcast. Somebody can help me out in the chat, but you're going to have a link that is going to show you every single team's stream. You can go catch the match that you want to see. Of course, our matches here on the mainstream, we're going to start with OG versus G2 Stride. And we can show you the rosters that'll be playing tonight. The reason I mentioned that is because I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, guys, but G2 is actually playing with NAS at the Esports World Cup. I think Beast Mode is out of town, but we've got. Oh, hold on, is Chicago subbing in G2 here? I think that's a typo. We got Beast Mode there, but Beast Mode's not going to make it to EWC, so I wanted to look at these rosters. We got Com, JNaps, Nolly, Atomic, Beast Mode, Daniel, of course, Torment and Satthew in the coach role. Fellas, how are we feeling about this opening match?
I'm thinking that if G2 comes out in a similar fashion that they did at the end of their day yesterday, they should comfortably win it. But I do think that OG, they get counted out a lot of times in series like this one, or say, okay, here comes the big one. They're not going to be able to do it, but they'll beat everyone under them. I do think OG's playing a great game. I didn't get to talk about it too much, but we've got to stop the propaganda against JNaps. I know you mentioned it a little bit, but I don't understand where it's coming from. I guess because he's, over 20 years old, and so, his fingers don't work anymore. I don't know. He's been playing fine. He's been playing great, actually, not just fine. So if we can get a similar performance out of him, especially with that kind of cherry pick, first man downfield play style that we saw yesterday from OG, they will find success here against G2.
Well, we've got our first match, of course, OG versus G2 Esports. And Spaceman, I'm curious to hear what are your thoughts about those two teams and that matchup specifically?
Well, my thoughts are pretty simple for G2. If G2 continue to play at the pace of play that they had 20% of the time yesterday, I still think this is a team that beats essentially everybody in NA. And as good as OG have looked in the last 2 days, at the end of last week, I still think G2 with a struggle. I still think OG, even against the struggling G2, are just going to have too much to worry about. I mean, you're talking about a G2 squad that not only can kill you from inside your own goal line, from the midfield, from your own backboard. But we saw it in the highlights as well. Like G2 can free jump assists downfield from their own side of the field. They can every angle on the field that's open, every lane that is viable becomes that much more deadly at the speed in which these guys play. And as long as they're finding each other downfield, if you get like long clears from Atomic or Daniel's like picking up an errant touch and throwing it downfield to beast mode, you have to expect that to be a shot. So as good as OG are, and they are going to put up a fight in this series, even with G2 likely starting off slow in game ones like they've proven in the Shift Summer League, I just don't see how we still bet against beast mode, because yesterday he proved that even at their like worst performances, beast mode's going to score a 0-second thriller. And then 2, they have a multitude of ways they can beat you, especially on the cadence game. So I just don't see how OG are able to slow down G2 enough to take 3 games in a series against them at this moment. I'd love to be proven wrong. At the moment, I think Daniel's rocking the car that Elon Musk made that looks like a big polygon. So he's who knows, man? Who knows?
This.
Yeah, maybe
Is that a
the
rhombus? What is
Cybertruck.
that?
It's the Cybertruck. Maybe all of a sudden Daniel's like he loses all of the talent from him, like they get sucked out like the Space Jam movie. I don't know, but I just think this team is too multidimensional, too multifaceted. And their speed of play, Hootie, is just way ahead of many other teams in NA. So it's going to be really tough. No matter how good JNEPS is, this is the best team in NA, arguably the world. It's just going to be tough.
It absolutely is. Well, I'm going to focus on 2 things that I heard in those interviews. Number 1, OG, they're never down and out. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but that experience, that composure, they're not going to be bothered by G2 maybe coming out really strong in game 1 or even going down 0-2 in a series. You know, OG, they're gonna hold on to that mental. They're going to stay strong. And as Com said, hey, a loss is a loss. They keep rolling. But on the other side, something that Satthew talked about was G2, when they first started out in Shift Summer League, maybe didn't have the focus that they should have had. You know, he said that they, potentially could have taken things a little bit too lightly. And I think it's very clear to see that, if we had that trend line again, you could kind of see where they decided, hey, you know what? We're going to talk about it and we're going to turn things back around. And I think we have seen that in the, from second week, maybe day 2 onward, has certainly been an upward surge for G2. And I think that's probably going to continue here in the final week of league play as we roll into the playoff bracket. And so here's what we're going to do. I think we have talked a little bit about our key for each of these teams, maybe a win condition, however you want to describe it. But let's get down to predictions. All right, let's just, we got to put it on the table. What are we thinking? Let's start with Spaceman. For OG G2, what do you got in this first series?
I'll take G2 in 5. I think, again, they'll come out flat. They'll play a little bit sloppy in games 1 and 2. We won't see them really pick it up till around game 3. I think OG sent them 5, but I think G2 still close it out.
Okay. Spaceman goes with G2 and Corelli?
Yeah, I just, again, to lay the bed here is, the OG side, they have 2 tough matchups. So does Dignitas. They both have 2 tough matchups here today. This is a very important win for OG to at least get one of their tough matchups in the win column. With that being said, I feel like this is going to be a game 5, as Spaceman put it, and I'm also going G2. I do think that G2 is going to at least, I don't know how they'll start, but I know they'll end strong.
Well, we're going to do it again. And yesterday, G2 was fine with it. So let's test them again. I'm going G2 as well. But I'm going to say this. I think they sweep. I think they come out strong. I think Satthew has them locked in. They know that they've got one more day of matches. And I think they're going to make a push for the top of the league and see if they can test RMC. I think they match up today. So that may be a fun one to check out later. But here's what we're going to do. I am going to select my key piece for OG to find success.
Okay.
We'll throw it over to you guys and we'll see what you guys think about it. I think today it's got to be Nolly. Nolly has to show up big today. I think when he is playing his A game, not only is obviously he a level up, but I feel like it brings everybody on the team up. I think it generates some space for JNAPs to find some gaps, find some good shooting positions, shooting lanes. I think it also makes Com a little bit more dangerous in his physical aggression. And the reason being is because now you've got to keep your eyes on Nolly, you got to keep your eyes on JNAPs, and when you're doing that, obviously you can't have your eyes on Com as well.
Sure.
And so he'll sneak into these blind spots, make those rotations for the big boost grabs and keep you on low boost, keep you in uncomfortable positions, jumping in the net. You may avoid the bumper demo, but you might still be put out of position. So I'm saying Nolly. I think when he is rocking and rolling, finding his teammates, facilitating well. I know everybody hates this phrase, but the glue, right? He does such a good job of elevating everyone around him. How many teams has he been on now where as soon as he picks up, or as soon as he slots into the roster, everybody just performs better? I keep thinking about the LAN last year, Flip and Spin, where he picks up with Carmi Corp, like no practice, no nothing. He's in a whole different country, just rolls over there and they win the event. Nolly is just one of those players. When you plug him in and he plays well, everybody on the team is better. And I think they're going to need that from Nolly today to beat G2.
Yeah, I think that Nolly having a good day is always a good thing when it comes to OG. I don't think that he has particularly played poor. It's one of those things where if Nolly's having a good game, sometimes you just don't notice it because you got someone like JNAPs on OG who's traditionally has been their big kind of moment type player, calm as well. And you say it's kind of annoying to use the word glue, but I think in a lot of cases, Nolly, when you saw him on Gen G, he had a lot of great individual performances in the scoring department, but I think ultimately he doesn't have to play that role on OG. And the way Com and JNAPs have played off each other, and maybe he could be the facilitator or something like that, has been the ultimate success for OG. So I've thought Nolly has played quite well. So maybe to your point, Hoodie, that if he continues to do what he's doing, OG has success.
Spaceman, for you, and of course G2, it feels like you could just kind of go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But for you, who is the key piece for G2 to find success today?
I mean, outside of the easy answer, which we all know that answer, I think you have to go Daniel. I mean, we've talked about Atomic ad nauseum, we've talked about Beast Mode, you always will, but I think Daniel brings an invaluable part of Rocket League in terms of his talents, at least in the last year and a half. When he joined G2, I know there's been conversations that the players will have individually about what was he like on SSG and what would that team really have done? Did he kind of wait to kind of blossom and spread his wings once he got to G2? I think it's fair to say he did. I think it's fair to say that he's really improved his individual mechanics, but it's more of his spatial awareness and his understanding of when and where to challenge, how to kind of manipulate his space on the field to either assist his teammates with an extra pass or to get the ball in a better position for him to score or invite anything down the line, go down the skill tree. Daniel has found a way to not only upgrade his individual game, but he is a much smarter player now than he was 2 years ago. And you'd hope that's the case. You'd hope players continue to learn. And he's done that. And I just think that he routinely is the silent assassin of this squad. He doesn't have to do a beast mode pre-jump from your own side of the field, use the ceiling reset to score on you. He can just break down a defense individually, and his mechanics are some of the best in NA. With that, you pair that with Atomic, who can control the midfield as good as Noli, if not better. You pair that with Beast Mode, who is the best striker in the lobby. Daniel is the silent assassin in so many ways, and he continuously becomes a nuisance for teams. So Noli, I think, is a great shout for OG. I think Noli is playing really great Rocket League, but clearly has not had maybe the 1-2 punch, the impact on this roster as of right now that many had expected. He's clearly just not been the same midfield lockdown defender, amazing facilitator that we saw back early on Gen G. But on the other side for G2, that's a good thing for them. And for Daniel, if he just beats one or two strikers from OG today, if he outplays JNAPs a little bit, if he outplays Com upfield just a little bit, and you allow Atomic to be Atomic at the midfield and Atomic's unchallenged by Noli, this is where this team gets really dangerous. I mean, they've always been that way, but I think Daniel, in just a variety of different ways, he's so intuitive on the ball. He just knows exactly what he wants to do, where he wants to do it, and how he'll break down a defense. And that, of course, opens up a variety of opportunities for G2 to capitalize. I got to go with Daniel. He has a way, man.
Well, listen, we have given our win conditions for each squad, shouted some specific players that we want to see step up in this first series of the day. We've got OG Esports taking on G2 Esports. Fellas, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the final week of the regular season here for the Shift Summer League. OG trying to mount the comeback. One of the stronger teams in the past 2 weeks. Granted, destiny entirely in their hands, but going against arguably the best team in the world in G2. G2, who have just proven that they can beat anybody in any different way. Corelli, OG have to play above their standards today for G2. Got to feel that, history's on their side with how they pulled out a win yesterday.
Well, for OG, I mentioned it before, they're tied with Dignitas in the standings. Both teams have some tough matchups here today. For OG, it feels like they've got the split between one of them, and their first one they get in their first match of the day against G2. We'll see how they start off.
It's going to be a tough one. We talked about it just a little bit in the pregame. If you're Noli, you have to have a big series here today, but you also have to shut down Daniel. Now back on a different kit, but still the same player. Clears it downfield, beast mode with the assist, and already G2 on the board.
And that's a disaster start if you're OG. For G2, they're able to get in first in the first 30 seconds of the game. The last time these two teams played was back on the first day of the competition in the league play. It was a game 5. OG and G2, they went back and forth, one win apiece, all the way to game 5. Are we going to get that here today?
We might see the Cybertruck for the entire series. If not, or at a game 1 win or a game 2 loss, we might see a change from Daniel. Odds are, though, this will be a mainstay as he finds 2 touches off his own backboard. Actually helps recenter it out for Noli. A big mistake from the young one, and Noli, the veteran, will come in for cleanup. Yeah, Daniel had plenty of boost, but he did not angle his carb correctly into the jump. Atomic was trying to make up ground, but that's not his fault. Daniel, that's a routine play with 81 boosts going up after it. You've got to get the correct touch, and it cost his team a goal. And if you're OG, you got to keep it clean, especially down on the ground with a lot of these possessions. If G2 are going to give away free touches off their own backboard, if they're going to play sloppy defense, then it's up to OG to capitalize. Noli does just that, and we keep things moving. Hold on, that's awkward, and Daniel responds downfield with his second. And I got to be honest, I think Daniel's a little surprised this one even got to him. Nolly and JNaps are there, and he puts it down between both. Calm was flying back into his own net, and Daniel, I think, a little surprised as well that one went in. The silver lining for both teams is that just a minute gone by, and so you have plenty of time to right some of the wrongs early on, but already a 2-1 lead for G2. Now try to slow it down for OG. But coming into this, we talked a lot about what Noli needs to do on the field. How does he have to play parallel to Atomic in this matchup to find success? Well, he definitely has to put away the same type of shots that are given over to Atomic. Atomic's done a great job of being in that shooter role a lot of times for G2 and cleaning up the mess that a player like Beast Mode might leave behind, a player like the Daniel might leave behind. In the same token, you got players like JNaps and Calm for OG. Nolly can be that man to clean up that mess and put away maybe an equalizer here for OG. Some of those extra touches from Noli that will help so much, and that's why he's a pivotal part of their offense upfield. It was set up by Noli, shadowing under Atomic. Calm helps out, and JNaps clears. Yeah, that's a great pass from Calm. JNaps is there to put it home. You know he's going to put away a shot like that, but for Calm, great awareness to use the backboard to their advantage, and they find their equalizer quickly. I mean, so far, G2's made a couple of big mistakes on defense. It's led way to a tie game. Pretty uncharacteristic for a squad that eked out a couple of wins yesterday and had pretty high hopes of being able to handle their business here to start. Granted, only the first series of the day, but this is the last week of regular season action. Everybody else will either be fighting for their position in top 6 or waiting to book their ticket back to the setup they've been playing at for the past couple of weeks because nobody's in person. Off the backboard, quick clear from Beast Mode, and a lot on the line here for OG as they try to mount the assault late in this game 1. Plenty of time on the clock, but up to G2 to find the clear. A little triple commit coming out from G2. Everyone going up, and they got the clear, so I guess it doesn't matter. Daniel chasing down JNaps in the backfield means it's wide open for Daniel. The demo pays off, and G2 back in the lead. Perfect from the field. 3 shots, 3 goals. Calm loses the 50, and Daniel already up, finds a demo, and finds this open net. 2:38 on the clock, another lead for G2. Listen, that's the best triple commit I've ever seen from a team. The way that one turned around between the clear, the overextension for the demo, and then the challenge to set up that man who overextended for the demo. Incredible stuff from G2. Are we about to have the conversation of the Cybertruck getting you a little bit extra reach like the Dominus is? Because now that Daniel's just winning some extra touches in the corner, he's clearly getting out in front of the ball. Does it become a different kind of strat for G2? I don't know. We'll put that in our pockets and bring it out later. But for right now, the control right now on the blue side of the field from G2, just too much to handle. OG just trying to hold on to the ball.
think G2 happy to have that one go in, but they know that they're going to feel the pressure of OG. OG haven't done the best job of holding this ball down in possession, and I think a lot of times you're getting two challenges like you did right there from Atomic to push OG all the way back. But here comes Calm, and maybe OG can get into rhythm on offense.
Ooh, nice little poke by Noli. Calm already ready for it. Starting to pull G2 laterally again, like we saw yesterday. SSG found a lot of success at that. Atomic doesn't get the reset off. So you buy a couple of swings downfield if you're G2, but JNAP's looking for the double, has it. Immediately cleared away. Beast mode ready for it. And the G2 offense swings back into the blue half.
Great setup there by JNAPs as well. Executed almost perfectly. I mean, there's a defender in the way, so made a great save, but getting some solo plays and those solo opportunities to JNAPs is always going to be a boon to the offense for OG.
Cleared back into the orange side. Calm, quick shot and a bar down as well. Just a hair under the crossbar, but enough power to punch it through.
Yeah, a lot of credit over to Nolly here. Faking like he's going to go up this one, and as soon as he got called off, he bent backwards. You could see how long it took for Atomic to react to the play, and by the time he did, he was dead to rights. OG, a goal apiece for every player, and we're all tied up at 3.
Off the kickoff, possession back to G2. Beastman will grab the midfield and start to begin his challenge. Noli doing a nice job of buying some time. Dan's win a couple of these 50s, but hasn't really led to much. Beastman will now take the call. Actually goes for a bump. Low in the tank, outside of Atomic. One demo might help. OG slow to the challenge. I don't know if Calm was ready necessarily for the quick pick that Daniel was able to find. Atomic at the midfield. Bumps his own teammate. Bit of chaos right now on the blue side of the field as Noli and JNAPS try to work together to find this clear.
Yeah, G2 are locking in OG at the moment. That was good from Calm up until I think the panic touch where he felt like he was going to get challenged. Noli got a lot of boost. He does get a piece of it. And OG looking for a way out. It might just come over to Calm, who's playing off the ceiling to himself. He won't be able to catch up.
We've seen it a couple of times where G2 have left a player up behind the defense, always finding some extra boost and waiting for that errant touch to come their way where they can put this one through. Got to be careful. Count your numbers if you're OG. Here comes Beast Mode for the win in 0 seconds. Stalled by Atomic. Daniel for the 4th on the goal line. Massive save into OT.
Yeah, shame. Daniel really didn't get over that one. It was a tough angle, but G2 having 3 opportunities right at the buzzer is not what you want from OG, but you're happy you get into overtime.
Daniel looking for his fourth goal in this game 1. Atomic, quick clear away. Almost gave it back to JNAPS. The OG offense feeling like they can start to move their numbers up. Noli looking for the double. Noli almost sneaks it under. Calm back centered for JNAPS. Open net. And OG are not going to miss this one. Finally, some success goes the way of the boys in blue.
It's certainly a reputation that OG are getting right now, and that's playing the ball across and on the ground, or at least low to the ground. That time it was a little bit above ground. OG does well to find each other, especially in chaotic situations. They're a team that don't panic too much, and especially on offense, it always feels like they have that poise. OG taking game 1.
GG's all the way around from OG. G2 rather quiet in the in-game chat, so maybe a sign of them either being locked in or not too happy with that first game performance. I don't know. I'm pulling at straws, but what I do know is that the defense of G2 to start, very sloppy, gave away 2 easy goals they should have saved, and OG took advantage and just rolled with it.
Listen, it's GG's when I win, BG's when I lose, all right? That's how it works for me, and that's not what G2's doing. But if I was in there, that's how I would feel.
I mean, they've looked pretty consistent for the most of this tournament, but again, like OG in game 1s always start off really, really strong, Curly. It just comes to whether or not they can, keep a series from going the distance, because that's where things get dicey.
And to carry over a point that we were talking about yesterday, for OG, we talked about them kind of in the defensive context, but I mentioned it right at the end of game 1 in the offensive context, how I think calm they look in their approach to both sides of the game. Especially in a moment like that where, I mean, as I mentioned, they really did give up 3 opportunities for G2 in the waning seconds at the 0-second time of regulation for them to get back into the kickoff and then continue their attack on G2 when the first attack doesn't go through for them is very, very important for OG, especially when they're getting backed up and locked in by G2.
One way to settle a dispute is on Salty Shores. Let's go to game number 2, folks. I'm excited. First series of the day, best of 5 on your screen. JNAP's already off the kickoff. Looking very threatening, so OG continued to feed the hot hand. JNAPS yesterday, Corelli, was the #1 striker for OG. He was everywhere, off the ceiling, from the midfield, close quarters on the goal line. Got to think that if JNaps is feeling that comfortable, his mechanics are primed and ready to go, he can continue to feed him with possessions upfield.
And so far between games 1 and 2, even here in the first 30 seconds, Calm and JNaps have gotten a lot of solo opportunities. JNaps has been able to put a couple on target. Calm hasn't been as fruitful, but he's certainly been able to generate those opportunities, and that's crucial for OG. You've got to mix in the solo play every once in a while, and JNaps here might be able to set himself up again.
No card change for Daniel. JNaps going to continue working off that back wall. Noli circling carefully. Will take his time getting back into the midfield, and Beast Mode will be more than happy to punch it to Atomic. Catches it off his hood. And once more, a quick opening counterattack here from G2 is stalled out as the OG defense does not fall away.
I think OG wanted a bump there in the midfield. They didn't get it. Now G2. They'll try and punch their way through OG early here. But some good proactive defense from OG has stalled a lot of the attack from G2. And even on the miscues, the communications there to clean up. And for OG, again, I mentioned it yesterday, I'll keep using the word, very disciplined from them so far.
Yeah, not a lot of double commits right now, even on low boost, which you usually see some teams panic, especially when playing against G2. They feel they have to kind of overcorrect themselves near the backboard. Not the case here. Naps will get a full tank. Noli watching as Calm takes initiative. Rolling once more through the corner. Atomic can't find the touch, and right back into the blue side. Atomic ready for the pass. Beast Mode still contesting. Finally, OG breakout.
And maybe just for the moment, it was just Calm throwing the ball downfield, and the demo will certainly open up a bit of space. That's a great touch from Nolly, actually. Keeps possession and pulls it away from the oncoming G2 traffic. Still, G2 are able to pick it right back up. A Beast Mode full boost is a little bit scary here for OG, and they'll jump in front.
And Noli's patience right now in the defensive end is paying dividends. Oh, Calm had a bump into an open net, but just couldn't close the deal. However, Noli not jumping for a lot against Atomic. He's just biding his time, waiting for the angle he wants, and then going up to make a read. Like we just saw in the previous engagement, picked up that an opening pick, moved it over towards Calm on the opposite end. A lot of good patience defensively from OG as JNaps will send it down into the orange side. Daniel will probably take this one. But for G2, they've had a couple of looks at the midfield. Just not necessarily the long passes they're accustomed to.
And a couple demos now coming out from G2. Coming at the right time, have set themselves up. Nolly, this one's going to skirt over to the corner, which means G2 can get back. Nolly trying to set up his teammates, but G2, great recovery on that one. No one was in the backfield, and they're lucky it went to the corner. Nolly didn't have any options.
Small traffic jam in the corner. Bumps off Daniel. Noli will take it. Now G2 start to begin their press. Not going to allow OG to move up for free. Daniel with a full tank. How far can he go in the Cybertruck? Who knows? 2 resets. Sends it on its way. Noli handles the pressure. Minute 37 to go. Neither team finding the back of the net just yet.
Great pass from Calm to JNaps. That duo has to link up, I think, a little bit more. I complimented them for their solo plays, and that certainly has been great for OG, but what might be even better is the tandem that they present and using each other. And that was maybe the first attempt we've seen in this game as a traded demo comes out between Calm and Beast Mode.
G2 has been really low on their counterattack, so you start to see OG again pulling this ball towards the side wall. Atomic hasn't been able to challenge. Daniel's usually been the first one up. You get a demo from Beast Mode. G2 can threaten here if they choose. But yet again, the defense from OG just doing a nice job of not overcommitting into the corner, not jumping out when they're out of space. They're really waiting for the first look to come through from G2, and okay, never mind.
Again, another goal for Daniel that I think he's shocked to see go in. And for all the discipline that we've seen, everyone saw Nolly go up, and I think JNaps just wasn't quite ready to make the play on it as he crept up the wall. I think he thought Nolly was going to get more of the ball on that play, and instead he got all of the player. And so one trickles in for G2, and OG, who's played a decent game so far, now have 40 seconds left to get back into it.
Feels like maybe that's just a Calm issue, not player, more in speak. Just gotta think someone's got to make that challenge. A little too much for free for G2. Atomic juggling all the way down. About 20 to go. Daniel, no boost. Still getting the ball around. Takes a demo, helps Beast Mode, sets up off the back wall, and now a counterattack opportunity here for OG.
And that's a huge miss from Daniel. Now the second touch. That doesn't drop, and that's a massive clear for G2, who are looking to put the dagger in. Calm's off the ceiling, and he will pick it up. JNaps is up too. Off the backboard it goes, and he's met by Daniel. G2 surely going to be able to challenge this one all the way down to the ground, and G2 back in the series.
A head scratcher of a goal there from G2, and you got to think, I mean, it's probably killed most of the momentum from OG. Their defense was pretty fantastic in this game. But outside of that, they had handled a lot of the counterattacks from G2. They had kept them on low boost, stalled out at the midfield. They were avoiding a lot of the demos. They weren't allowing solo plays close to the goal line, and this just floats through. Like, that's the big highlight from this game. It's just a free ball that Daniel just puts at the net, and you got to think OG, like, we're watching this go through, and I'm like, surely somebody's going to save this, right? There's no way.
I mean, you got two players in front of the ball there, too. And you know, we talked about why I think JNaps was the one to go for it, and he wasn't necessarily contorted in the right way to get to it quickly enough. I think the expectation might have been different for the challenge as well. But for OG, we compliment their defense, and we say, okay, yeah, great defense. It was very disciplined. Rah, rah, rah. Great. However, they almost exclusively were playing defense, and G2 put on a lot more shots than I think you'd be comfortable with, and OG were required to make a lot more saves than I think they'd be comfortable with. Sure, they were making them, but those are the types of goals that happen when you're just constantly playing defense and an opportunity for the offense to score happens to trickle in. That's the scary thing that happens if you're just playing defense the whole time.
Now it's time to find out what kind of metal OG is made of. What can they reach into after that give up in game 2? Some great defense, but you only win games by scoring. How will they be able to pull it out here in game 3? Calm looking for the double already. Getting a little bit dicey with it off the opening kickoff. Right back to JNaps. Redirect was perfect, but Beastman with a better read.
I think Calm wants to set this one back up, and JNaps, he's still trying to stay in the play. And unfortunately puts a weak shot on target and allows G2 to break out, at least for the moment. Break up the offense.
Very slow clears here from G2. Calm still hunting. You can keep these challenges circling through the offensive third if you're OG. Not a lot of quick challenges by G2 until Beast Mode starts to break up the monotony, but into the corner we go. It's up for G2. Control the midfield line. They weren't able to do it in game 2. They get a freebie goal, but team's still looking to get online offensively. Daniel should be able to handle this, and he will. Staying on the Cybertruck again for 3 games. Already committed. I like the idea. JNaps. Back wall. We'll call it a double. More of a setup. Down to Noli. Down to JNaps. And already both teams getting their opening looks.
Yeah, that's a great pick there from G2. Atomic was there to try and put that one on target. It's a tough read at a tough angle. And he ended up not connecting on it. And G2, they can strike kind of out of nowhere like that. Maybe an opportunity here for JNaps. He's off the ceiling. Over to Nolly, and everyone from G2 had that one read.
I think the tough part for OG is they're trying to play the ball where they know G2 not only isn't, but trying to keep away those extra challenges that G2 are known for. So it's really tough trying to get to the midfield when every angle might be covered. Noli, again, just pushing it towards the side wall. Atomic going to pick his spot every single time. Picked back up by JNaps. Not going to go far. And this should be an easy read for Atomic to make, and we'll circle once more through the orange side.
Yeah, but that was a great challenge from JNaps on that air dribble. It got them out of their defensive side for just a moment. JNaps once again trying to go up the ceiling, using quite a bit of boost. Calm's out of boost as well. JNaps will steal the G2 sides, but here comes Daniel. JNaps again streaking into the play and at least breaking it up a little bit on the G2 side, but OG have got to find a way to break out with a little bit more control. Right now, they've got these long arcing clears, and Daniel has been eating them up.
I like the ground approach here from OG, especially at the midfield. Their defense has still been stellar to start game 3, so it's nice to see things haven't changed for them. But waiting for that offense to start kicking it into high gear. Again, JNaps, who had been the hot hand yesterday, already found a goal today. Would love to get him a little bit more involved. Calm not been able to find much on the demo front. You get one from Noli. JNaps tries to close the deal on the goal line, and Calm gets immediately sent to the respawn screen, back off his own side. One shot sneaks through. Daniel takes advantage of the power play and gets G2 their lead.
Yeah, that's a great shot again from Daniel, who has really just been finding these not crazy angles, but just good angles, quality angles that the defense aren't ready for, and he's playing around the defenders for G2. Their offense has really been living through Daniel, at least as the finisher. And again, OG this time, they haven't been able to throw up a save yet. Man. Maybe their first one right here from Nolly. But for OG, for the amount of time we've spent on their defensive side, you feel like they should have been able to have a little bit more control of this game and break out with possession.
You know, watching Daniel, at least in this series alone, it's kind of felt like it's not maybe the best comparison, but it's kind of like what Radosin did a lot last year, where it's like, look, it doesn't have to be the prettiest angle. It doesn't have to be the most mechanically sound angle. You just pull up in the lane, take a shot, finish the goal. That's what he does every single time. That's what he's done in this series. And he's just been able to put things away. It's not more impressive than that, but that's as impressive as it needs to be.
It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to work. That's all. And so far, it's worked for G2, but maybe an opportunity. That's a great pass from Calm and an even better save for Beast Mode. Nolly is there to clean it up. We asked him to come alive in that situation. He does for OG, and he finds an equalizer.
Finally, something had to break. A ridiculous save from Beast Mode, but Nolly was there in time. Nice patience on the goal line from OG. A tie game with 1:10. A big game in the series for OG. Got to feel like the momentum would swing to G2's side if they're unable to close it out, but you have a chance to really start putting some damage on the board. Daniel already has Beast Mode on the give and go. Cut down by Calm. Atomic plays it back to his own wall. Dignitas waiting, didn't like the angle. Noli setting it up. Here comes the knapsack. A little bouncer. Crossbar. Follow-up from Calm, just a bit wide.
Good offense here from OG. We've been asking to see it. And in the waning moments of this game, they're showing their teeth. Calm going to let this one go all the way back. And OG looking to ramp up in the final 45 seconds of this game.
Feels like the wind-up's happening. They just need to find that opening. But Beast Mode off the sidewall recovery is perfect. Better save from Noli. He'll get boost just in time, but you got to think the G2 are going to capitalize from the sidewall here like they will. Keep it on the ground. Nice play from Beast Mode back to Daniel. Plenty of boost in the tank. Over to Atomic. Still wins a touch somehow and sets it up to Daniel.
Wow.
That is absolutely absurd from Atomic.
Atomic, he got bumped, as you mentioned. Nolly went up for this one as well, and Atomic kind of catapults off the top of him. He stays with the play, and in the chaos, again, guess who? It's Daniel to put it home, 2 for 2 in this game, and he might have given his team a 2-1 lead in this series.
It's a disservice to call Daniel a tap-in merchant in this series, but he has just tapped it in every single time. Beast Mode, one for the road. Can we go the length of the field? OG, need one. Tried the handoff. It didn't work. And into open space, the ball will touch. G2 take a lead 2-1. Momentum back over to the best team in NA.
And for G2, listen, they're getting the job done right now, and they're controlling a lot of the game, especially they're a team that's sitting on offense quite a bit here. But that last minute or so, 45 seconds, that's what happens when you get a little too lax. OG's offense really started to show their stuff. And I know G2 came out, they won, it's fine. But I'm just saying, for G2, they've kind of bogged down OG for so long, and right at the end, it felt like they kind of took their foot off their back of OG for just a second. You could really see OG come back alive.
Yeah, even looking back to that setup by Atomic, I mean, there's really not much you can do. I think that was Calm, either, or JNaps on the back wall. If you challenge that, you give up so much real estate on the net. There's really no way to approach it. It's just, again, Atomic making a play. The defense has to react. Already Daniel was ready for the pass. That's the small thing, though. It's like, that's a really routine play for G2. It's a really routine setup off the back wall, but they just break you down after such a long stretch of great defense from OG. It's one little play. They'll close the deal against you. And again, Daniel in this series has just tapped in a lot of these free touches. That's got to be a lot to deal with if you're OG. You play so excellent, Corelli, but you give up like the simplest looks, and that's what kills you.
Got to keep an eye on Daniel as well, who has just been a shooter in this series, especially when things get a little dicey defensively for OG. And OG's got to show us that offense that they showed in those final 30, 40 seconds.
Already off the start, a lot of pressure from G2. They win the kickoff, win a demo as well. Numbers begin to pull back just a bit, conceding the midfield line. Atomic will watch Calm bring this back down precariously. Actually gives it to Noli on the pinch. Daniel absolutely understands his assignment. Holds the reset, actually. He's back down on the ground and wins the pop to Atomic. A nice little bit of a give and go there from G2. Recenter to Beast Mode into an open net. It's the G2 offense you've come to expect.
Well, you find out what happens when Daniel's able to beat 2 for OG. You can't let Daniel do his dance in the midfield because his teammates will come and clean it up. Beast Mode and Atomic combined. And Beast Mode the one to put it away. G2 kind of walked that one in, and JNaps couldn't do much about it.
Would love to see OG really start to open up their offense a little bit more at the midfield. Some of that man-to-man that worked for SSG yesterday could be a factor here. Almost the redirect. That was disgusting. But you got to start taking away some of these quick possessions from G2. How much space they have defensively to get the ball back out to the midfield. You got to think, if you're OG, trying to keep this one on the ground and play between the space. Oh, what a pinch.
Actually a great pinch from Jnaps. And that was maybe the best look that we've seen from OG in this game. I know we're only a minute in, but a crazy pinch from Jnaps to set up his teammates. Now Calm to the sky, has to take the challenge, and he will lose that one 100%. It comes back to the OG side, but G2, they are just fighting for every single inch and not letting OG have free touches.
You did get a quick demo, but even with that, I mean, Beast Mode has so much space to move upfield, crossbar and out. Atomic almost puts the second one away. You have a power play here if you're OG at the midfield, and they allow Beast Mode to go down unscathed with so much space.
And you can't let G2 have the space, and here it comes again. Beast Mode, flip reset to bring it down. He was trying to pick his spot. Follow-up is there from Atomic. I think he was trying to play that one over to Daniel, but the pass was a bit off, and G2 will reset.
All across the field, G2 members ready and waiting for a pass. They can pick their spots not only on the goal line, but everywhere else as well. Extra boost for Beast Mode. No lead to Jnaps. Little give and go. Love that. Great save from Atomic, but that's kind of the offense you need if you're OG, just to break up that grind that G2 been able to put at the midfield.
Yeah, and you know, that's the right way to phrase it too, is just kind of break up what G2's doing. And I think, OG doing better at that here in this game. They were able to kind of push G2 back a little bit, but now you're seeing not a ton of boost on the OG side. Follow-up from Beast Mode is way off the mark. And I think OG glad to see this one go to the wayside with how much boost they had in that play. There was no save and a follow-up.
Oh, they still have nothing, though. They can't clear it. There's no way. With the entire defense, if G2 is pulled back at the midfield, every rebound will go into their hands, and Daniel, of course, will set it up for an Atomic goal. Yeah,
it was really just a continuation of that old play. Just never, OG were never able to stabilize on their boost, and G2 were able to play around them.
Someone wants to know, has Daniel been scoring? I'm going to say the answer is yes. Basically every game at this point. He has been the scoring for G2. Beast Mode off the ceiling. Just testing the upper 90. Here comes Calm. Can't find the dunk, but at least makes it interesting. The pass, Jnaps kind of muffled the touch, but still a lot of pressure here for OG. You got to think this is one of your better counterattacks you've been able to form. Would love to see some extra boost go back into the boys in blue and keep these numbers up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're able to get some control, and there's Nolly. That's full control from Nolly, the RLCS Fall Major Champion, and he's making it work here in front of G2.
Gets a bit of space, puts on a little bit of a show. Nolly, I believe that's his second, if not third goal of the series. He's been contributing, but still, majority of the offense for OG has not been there. Oh, better save from Jnaps. Keeps the third one out.
And that was such an important goal to score for OG. I was just about to mention how time is really becoming a factor for them. As this one gets away from the defense of G2, Nolly couldn't catch up to it. You've got a minute 20 on the clock for OG. Plenty of time to get back into it as Jnaps poaching on the goal line. And OG had been knocking on the door.
Oh, what a takeaway. How much time they're killing off the clock, and these demos hurt as well. Long clear by Jnaps, back to the other wall. Noli kills it at the midfield. Picked up by G2. Atomic. Just going to punch it downfield. Trying to find Jnaps, looking for the double. Recentered perfectly. Noli wins a 50, but off the crossbar. It was perfect for OG. They just couldn't put it away.
Yeah, great chow by Noli, but like you said, they just weren't able to put it away. And Daniel almost walked it in again. Nolly with low boost, trying to find a spot. Jnaps trying to pick his spot, but all of G2, excuse me, able to get back so quickly, and there were no more options for OG.
You do get a demo. Power play here for OG. 30 seconds to go. Down 2-1 in the series. Trying to send it 5. Naps. Can't get it over Atomic. First defender up. Good and gone for G2. Noli takes it right back. Only as far as Daniel will allow it. And punch to the midfield. Now a foot race to the ball. Daniel still gets possession. I know Calm was playing boost. But luckily for him, maybe not. I thought he was going to hold on to possession. It's just many, many moments where G2 have a free look at the ball. Not a lot of contest spots for OG. Got to keep it on your hood. The flick up to Noli. Misses it and goes. Wow! No, it doesn't go in. Oh, OG, you gotta be joking, man.
And that pass, I mean, listen, I know it turned out to be a decent shot. It was in if we had a split second left, but that one just ahead of JNaps. If he just got really anything on it, it was in. And OG, oh, that one hurts. That one got away from them. And for G2, I think they're happy to get out of that series. That was a tough OG team to break down.
I want to see this replay again because, I mean, in real time, I thought, I think it was Jnaps who went up for it. I thought he was just going to poke it in. Maybe it was Noli. I need to see this replay, but it's just that maybe kind of indicative of the offensive woes that OG's had just a little bit in the series. But there were many moments, even on that prior drive, Corelli, where Daniel's, moving the ball upfield, Calm beats him to the spot, picks up boost, and then kind of pulls off, starts to shadow. And you're thinking there's so much space that OG for G2. When you give him that much space, you will allow stuff like this to happen. Here we go. So pick up by Calm, moves up the midfield. And Noli, I thought he was just going to tap this in just out ahead. It was just a little too much.
Yeah.
Man, that's a killer.
Excuse me, I said JNaps. It was Nolly there. But yeah, it just anything on that play. And that one was going to go in. And any time left on the clock. And I think that one was crawling in as well. So a shame from OG. But really, I know they go down 3-1 here, or rather 1-3 against G2. But really, I don't think the worst series from them. They had to weather the storm from G2. And a lot of the goals that G2 scored, I mean, they were kind of not the world's most amazing goals. You weren't getting those highlight beast mode solo plays. I think Daniel really picked the pocket of some of the defenders on the OG side. But for the most part, this wasn't like G2 just absolutely lambasting OG throughout this series.
Yeah. No, this was, we saw kind of the sample of game one, which was some sloppy defense at times, but Daniel's going to pick his spot, and if it's an open look, he's going to pull up for a shot. If it goes in, great. That was the motto for the majority of the series. It was Daniel kind of showing up at the right time, taking advantage of a defensive mistake or a gap or an open look, putting it away, and going about their business. G2 did not have to work overtime in this series. OG played pretty flawless defense for like 3-4 games here, but they just couldn't respond on the other side of the ball. They were unable to string that into great offense downfield. G2 didn't look like they had to really sweat much until they relied on Daniel for some of those poke-ins. But I would love to get Hootie back in here because we talked a little bit in the pregame, Hootie, about the players we want to see really step up. Noli was certainly a factor in game one. He had a couple of goals, but this was just, if there's a rebound and Daniel's around, he's going to put it towards the net. He did just that. Kid did.
And he was exactly what you called for, right? You said Daniel's got to be there to kind of supplement what we have seen from Atomic and Beast Mode, and he did exactly that. It was so impressive to see G2. Like you said, it wasn't the highlight reel plays that we are come to seeing, but they did such a good job of punishing when OG did have the slightest slip, the slightest misposition, or when they did outplay one and get a small gap to take a shot. Daniel was always in the right position, making the right touch. Even there, like that's a soft bouncing shot. That's not, a precision strike or a double flip reset or something. But like you guys said during the series, it doesn't need to be pretty. It doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to go in. And G2 did exactly what they need. But I think, Corelli, I think you nailed it. This has got to be a frustrating loss for G2. A frustrating loss for OG because it felt like they were right there the entire series. I know that's a 3-1 scoreline, but this felt neck and neck all the way through.
Oh, definitely. It was a very close series. We got one overtime there, but these were all one-goal games. So, it was absolutely doable for OG. And, despite the obvious context of every single game where I think G2 certainly were the more aggressive team, they were the aggressor in the game, and I think OG were playing a little bit more reactive, it still felt like OG generated enough chances to say, okay, yeah, we could have at least tied this up or forced another overtime or given ourselves a shot. And again, on top of, I think, a lot of scrappy goals, really, from both sides. I'm watching these replays again. I'm saying, you know what? OG got a lot of scrappy goals, too. So it was just a scrappy game.
Mm-hmm. It sure was. We're going to have a quick chat with Satthew in a moment once we get him all set and ready. But let me run through the other results that we had around the league. We had Space Station reverse sweeping. That's right. Reverse sweeping incorrect. Incorrect went up 2-0 over Space Station. But a critical victory for SSG there. RMC take down Dignitas 3-1. Hoab still surge forward, and they are not out of contention just yet. They take a Game 5 victory over Fun. Gen G handle SR, and of course G2 handle OG here on the mainstream. So that is our round one of today's matches. Not too surprising. I think that's probably the favorites in every match, but a little messy, at least from the space station side. And I'm sure that Pirates would have liked to clean that up a little bit easier as well. But I think we got Satthew on the line, so let me have a quick chat with him.
Get him in.
Get him in.
Get him in.
Get him in.
Hey again.
Hey again. He's back. Satthew, thank you for taking some time to chat with me here. All right, first off, we've got to ask it. What do you make of Dan in the Cybertruck?
We were talking about this earlier, actually, in what should have been our warm-up. Yeah, I don't like the car in general.
Yeah.
So I don't like any of my players on it, but if he's having fun on it for now, it's today's the day to do it. So it's all good.
Sure. And hey, Dan was he was playing well. He's putting the shots away, so can't be too upset with it. I do want to ask though, because while this was a 3-1 series, I think it was pretty tight. OG definitely kept things scrappy, and they kept it close. So from your perspective, what do you think is the biggest challenge when playing that OG squad?
So honestly, sometimes just maybe going as hard as we should.
Yeah.
I'd say the first game honestly came down. There was a lot of sloppiness defensively, a lot of just certain things not being communicated, and they directly led to goals that we conceded. So it's probably that. I think we have a pretty good record against them this season. And we had a good record against them in scrims as well. So it's usually just keeping our heads.
Sure. Now, this is not so much about, your current squad or anything, but I'm curious. Satthew's had a long career as a player, has been around the professional scene for a while, and now, of course, as a coach as well. And you've been around the top level as a player and coach. And so I'm curious, what has been your favorite meta evolution of professional play? What is something that has changed that you really like that new implementation, whether it's infield passing, the development of individual mechanics, and now you see solo plays. What has been your favorite meta evolution at the professional level?
I'd say definitely everyone getting better on the ball, like in solo plays. Because as defenses got better and more structured, infield passing became a lot more. You had to pick your times better to do so. You can't kind of just blindly throw it mid anymore. So probably just the fact that everyone got better on the ball kind of found a solution to that, to those teams that do sit mid a lot and do just kind of pretty much try to cut and counter off that. So yeah, probably that. Probably just the fact that everyone got absolutely disgusting on the ball over COVID. So yeah, I
want to echo that, because as a fan, it's a lot of fun to watch these guys twirl and whirl in the air and show off the mechanical prowess. Well, Satthew, congratulations on your dub. Thank you again for chatting with me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have some more Rocket League action.
All right, cool.
And what you did to me made me double take it right on my teeth. Had me burning in the 3rd degree. Made me rip off the heart on my sleeve. I don't know if I can stand another night with you near my side. I can feel us tearing apart from the way you fucked my mind. I can plead my sanity. You're my enemy. Passing me by 40 years and 7, that's a true crime. Money's off the top of the house in real time. Follow me into water where we will find love. Made me double take it right on my teeth. Had me burning in the 3rd degree. Made me rip off the heart on my sleeve. I don't know if I can stand another night with you near my side. I can feel us tearing inside, I can feel us tearing apart from the way you fucked my mind. I can breathe my sanity. You're my enemy. You fucked my mind, I can breathe my sanity. You're my enemy.
Welcome back to Shift Summer League. We've got our second round match on the way, and you may be wondering, why did that change? Well, listen, it's because we've got some big implications on the line. Dignitas fighting for a top 6 spot. Pirates on a boat, still in the mix as well. Excited to watch this series. I think the players are ready to rock. So let's just let's talk a little bit about predictions. What are we thinking? What are the general feelings with Pirates and Dig? Corelli, how are you feeling this series going to unfold?
Oh, man. I mean, this is a really tough one because Dignitas has had some really good wins and then some really bad losses. And Pirates on a boat, they've been pretty consistent throughout the league play. They're sitting at 6-10 right now, so hasn't been the best run from them. But they've played some teams really tight. Like I'm seeing like game 5s against Rebellion, things of that nature. They just escaped just a moment ago in a game 5 series. So For me, if we're talking predictions, though, I'm going to stay with Dignitas for now. I think that Dignitas is, I don't know what the deal is with them, but I think this is an opportunity for them to really start to sort themselves out. And also, it's a series that I feel like they have to win. Otherwise, they're going to fall out of contention here.
And Spaceman, what are your general feelings moving into series number 2?
I echo all the sentiments that Corelli has just laid out. However, I think that we are going to get a stunner, a bit of an upset. I think Pirates on the Boat are going to handle Dignitas. I think gameplay-wise, I think a lot of these two teams are not slow on the field, but they play at a similar pace that I think maybe favors the likes of like 5UP and Andy. I think 5UP and Andy are criminally underrated as a duo, and I think that they have often been overlooked on this roster. Yes, that is still taking into account the fact that Pirates on the Boat have been playing pretty lackluster in this tournament overall, but I haven't seen enough right now from Dignitas to tell me that, especially with all of this on the line, that they're going to be able to do more than what they've done the last couple of weeks. Granted, Arsenal just shaved his head, so that's a buff. That's a buff. I'll be fair, but I think this being a money match kind of for Dignitas, I don't know if they're going to be able to handle it, and I'm going to put some stock into an upset for Pirates on the Boat.
I love that. I see someone in the chat said they're not ready for aerodynamic Arsenal. And you're right. That could be a factor here. I think that I'm going to side with Spaceman here. I like this Pirates surge at the end of the season. You know, it was such a slow start. But I mean, geez, we've said that for a few different squads at this point. And I know that Poab was very slow towards the bottom of things, but I just think sometimes when you get the ball rolling, it's kind of that snowball effect and it just keeps going. And I think they are rocking. Whereas, Dig, on the other hand, has just kind of been up and down, trying to figure out how to work. And look, to be fair, it's a newer roster. You know, this Dig roster went through a couple different iterations throughout the RLCS season. And now you've thrown Evo, Arsenal, and Zanil together. And of course, they did play so well to kick things off. Like Corelli said, got a couple of really, really big and impressive wins early in Shift Summer League. But we've also seen some low lows, right? They've got the high highs and the low lows. And I think that inconsistency, it's going to come to bite them here. I think Pirates on a Boat, I like that upwards trajectory. I like what I've seen from them. And I think we're getting ready to start, fellas. We got Poab versus Dignitas. Spaceman and Corelli, floor is yours.
We had to change it up, really. We were going to have Shopify versus SSG, but we got the word. Somebody rang the bell and said, this one is for all the marbles. For Dignitas, this quite literally is destiny in their hands. If they win this series, they might secure top 6. They'd have to have some things go their way against OG. If they don't, it's all lost. But you got to look at Pirates on a Boat and think about this resurgence late in the Shift Summer League. I don't know what's going to happen. That's why we play a best of 5. Curly, how are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it's a crucial matchup for Dignitas. They also, will have to look at how OG does against Genji as well. That could have implications depending on if Dignitas win or lose. But this is a big matchup for everyone, and we haven't gotten to see too much of Pirates on a Boat here on the mainstream, so I'm excited to see them go up against Dignitas.
You got to think in this series for Dig that Evo has to be a factor offensively. He's been pretty quiet the couple of times we've seen him on the mainstream. Granted, doesn't take into account all of the play he's had in this league, but he's been able to tap into a couple of extra balls. He's been able to find some open lanes. Other than that, though, he has not been the same Evo we saw like in week 1 and 2. You have to think they're going to need every single member to step up in this series if they want a chance to make it to top 6.
That's a great pass over to Andy, who will find top shelf. Eris, he dished it up to Andy, and Pirates on a Boat will strike first.
Do not underestimate Andy. He is excellent in close space. A great pass back to him as well. Eris with a beautiful setup. Already Pirates striking first in game 1.
So a great start for Pirates on a Boat, who have struggled throughout their time here in the Shift Summer League against what has been a very big question mark in Dignitas to go here. Dignitas, I'm not really sure what to make of them. You could say all of these players have had some great moments. They've been great players in the past. They've had great moments in this iteration as well. We've seen them a few times on the mainstream, but when you then go comb through their results, you're kind of scratching your head and saying, what in the world are these guys?
And it's shocking because you pick up Zanil, who clearly was the glue in the opening rounds of this tournament, and something that we have said harped on about how his impact, his presence on the team seems to have found that missing piece for Dignitas to be a much more consistent offensive threat against the better squads in NA. And then they just fell off a cliff after week 2. They have just struggled to pick up series against teams in their respective weight class, if we want to use that word, and also against the better squads in NA. They have not shown that they are the same Dig we saw in weeks 1 and 2. Would love to see them turn it around, but they're playing against Pirates, who are going to play scrappy all the way up the field. This is a team the Dignitas have to be ready for because Andy is ready to go.
Yeah, and I really like that Andy's in the mix offensively. A lot of times he plays the patient defender role, but for Pirates on a Boat, I've always felt that Andy, when he's in the offensive zone and he's inside, either getting bumps or playing it off his teammates or being a shooter, he can do it all. And right now, he's actually got 2 goals on 1 shot. So far, so good for Andy, and Pirates up 2-0.
If you're just joining and wondering why isn't Shopify Rebellion and SSG currently on the mainstream, it's because the implications of this match matter so much more than the Shopify and SSG series. Those 2 teams have already qualified for the playoffs. If not, they're already in the running and the math is in their favor. For Dignitas, they have to win this series to even have a chance at top 6. We want to see what happens when it comes down to the wire. And now it's up to Zanil in a counterattack to make some magic happen.
Yeah, don't forget Pirates on the Boat also playing for something here. Trying to stay in the mix as well, although they are still going to be behind if they were to come out on top. But yeah, lots of implications for this series, and that's why you're seeing it here on the main stream.
Evo in space has been pretty good in the opening weeks. But the offense needs more from everybody involved. Arsenal, the captain of Dignitas, who has been very vocal about the struggles of this team and what he wants more out of himself individually. The drop down from Andy barely touches the floor. A 3-0 lead for Pirates.
And that's a hat trick for Andy. And he just picks this one up from Eris in the little double tap. It's as simple as you like. Great placement from Andy as well, from the defenders. And Dignitas not showing us anything at the moment offensively. 0 shots across the board for Dig. And 9 on the side of Pirates. Andy with a hat trick.
And it only gets more difficult for Dig as well after this game, after this series. Regardless of what happens, they have to play G2. So you'd love to think you get some kind of opening jabs, some shots early on to really warm up your offense, but now is the time to show us what kind of scoring you have in the tank. Evo going to pick it up from the midfield. Burns a bit of his boost to keep it moving. Through the corner with Zanil. The shadow play right now working for Dig, but they give up a pretty easy counterattack here for Pirates. And again, it's a lot of these open looks that spacing should be covered, just nobody else around for Dig at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is the, quote, easy matchup for Dignitas today. They would have to go and play G2 after this. And so, if they want to keep their hopes alive, as you've been alluding to, this is the matchup to win. And right now, it has been anything but. Andy has just taken over this game, and Pirates on a Boat have looked to be the better team.
Arsenal looking for the double. Don't think it registered as a shot, but you've only got really 1 on the board so far for Dig. 2 saves from Evo. 5 up, going to take the challenge to the corner, wins it as well. And gets the second touch. Andy comes out of the elbow and almost slots it. Ricochets around the post. 3 goals on 4 shots from the field. Andy has been the star for Pirates in game 1. The reason why they have the lead with under 60 to play. It's going to be a game 1 win if everything else stays the same.
And it's important to note, too, all 3 of those goals are assisted. 2 on the side of Eris and 1 for 5 up. So his teammates certainly getting involved as well, setting up Andy for success. But Andy, you know, he's earned himself some credit. He might get another one here. He's picked it off in the midfield. Pirates on a Boat, just moving a little bit different right now.
Another big challenge. Goes right back into the hands of Pirates. So much space at the midfield. So many opportunities to pick apart the defense. 1 big clear from Zanil buys them some time, but time is not on their side right now. Pass to Andy in the air. Works off the back wall. Just killing everything else where it stands. 8 seconds to go. This is a game 1 win for Pirates. And a slow march into what could be a top 6 finish. But Dignitas have to find something else. They need more going into game 2. They give up 4 to Andy, and it's all Pirates in game 1.
Yeah, they gave up 4 to Andy. Not Pirates, Andy, who put away all 4. Great little redirect from Andy for the road. And Pirates, I mean, you could not ask for anything better out of them in game 1. You've got star player popping off. You've got assists across the board on all of your goals. So you have Andy shooting. You have your teammates backing him up. Defensively, they were only forced to make 2 saves. You held the opposition to 2 shots. This was a perfect game 1 from Pirates.
And, you know, just complete control at the mid-range from Pirates, on the goal line, on the back wall, at the midfield. This team had Dignitas locked down for a full 5 minutes. There was one real counterattack from Dig that looked promising. Outside of that, losing 50s, losing the challenges in the corner. Again, complete control, suffocating at that from Pirates. We look at the stat card. Arsenal, 132 points, 1 save and 1 shot. Arsenal is the captain of this squad. He is one of the best scorers they have. He is one of the most mechanically gifted players on the field. If Arsenal is not the primary option offensively, if the philosophy of this team does not flow through him on that side of the ball, Dignitas will not be successful. We saw it in weeks 1 and 2 when he was getting upfield, getting involved in the offense. They looked great. Zanil was finding a lot of pick and rolls off of Arsenal upfield. They're getting long clears on assists. Arsenal not being involved is the reason Dignitas have been struggling. So something needs to change, Curly, when it comes to the philosophy of this team, because you can't have your captain sitting at 132 points in game 1 of a must-win series.
Yeah. And I think it's important for Dignitas to kind of recognize that. I mean, really, for everything that went right for Pirates on the Boat, I mean, everything went wrong for Dignitas. We won't sit here and harp on it, but, you know, for Dignitas, they've got to show us something a little bit more. At the very least, you got to do something about Andy and slow down that offense from Pirates on the Boat.
Welcome into the second match of the night. All best of 5s for the final week here of regular season play for the Shift Summer League. Pass to 5 up in the box, immediately cut down. One more series to go. It should be slated for G2 and Dig. It might be after this, but we'll keep you updated. We've changed around a couple of things, but what stands now is that Dignitas, like Pirates, have a must-win series ahead of them if they want a shot at getting into top 6 in the money and into playoffs next week. Arsenal from the midfield careens it towards the net. Saved by 5 up. Extra challenge by Evo. Finally, Dignitas showing some urgency on the goal line.
Good control from Arsenal. Trying to fight through that last defender, but it's smart from Dignitas being better to take care of that ball. And you can see what happens. I mean, Pirates were all over the place trying to keep up with the play. So some good looks from Dignitas. Scoreless, but some good looks. And they're putting Pirates on the back foot.
You're going to need some of those challenges from Zanil to continue at the midfield, right? Some quick 50s that pull possession back for Dig, allow them to start pulling in some solo efforts. We haven't seen a lot of control from Dig in game 1. It's the solo efforts that can really break down a defense. And Zanil already getting up and contesting helps Dignitas feel more comfortable in the blue side of the field.
And now Pirates are starting to get a little bit of a hold in this game, figuring out what they're going to do up against this Dignitas defense that they marched through in game 1. Bumps coming out, and Zanil happy that he jumped. Andy was there, and he's still in the mix now, trying to keep this one alive, and Dignitas does well to slow it down.
Zanil at least gets it out. Evo, 1 shot already registered here in game 2. To Eris, open space, nobody else around, and it's a wide open net for Eris to find.
And for Dignitas, after such a decent start at least, this one high at the top of the box. I know Arsenal's up, but no one else putting a hand up means it's a free shot, as I think Arsenal just couldn't catch up to it. And for Pirates on a Boat, a great way to start off this game after kind of getting sucker punched early on. Now Andy trying to fake his way through. Gets a tap in for Eris.
Wow.
No, Evo, I couldn't see him, was behind the ball. And he makes sure that one stays out.
Huge stop by Evo. I mean, that is so much momentum to Pirates if they close the deal. And a great job by Arsenal. I've watched him in his streams. He's been focusing on the one-on-one play, and you can see it there where even focused on the goal line. Patience pays off. Does not let that one in for free. A 1-0 lead still for Pirates, but a sign of life from Dig. Defensively looked pretty good in this game. And we let one through. We'll have to circle back to the orange side. Eris does get the second touch. Arsenal picks up from his own side. Around Andy, never mind. Better shut down with a hand up, as Pirates take full control of the ball.
And again, this is good for Dignitas. I mean, they're holding Pirates back a little bit. And now you've left one man in Andy on the attack, but for Dignitas, they're lucky he has no boost. Great dunk from Evo. And Pirates not having the same success as they did in game 1.
Dignitas' credit right now. They've done a very good job of contesting at the midfield. They've been holding on to their boost defensively. Hasn't allowed much from Pirates to develop. Eris, with nothing in the tank, has to come out from the back wall. And again, these challenges will favor Dig. holding on to their boost and getting opportunities at the midfield. The setup from Zanil and the shot from Evo. Finally, Dignitas are on the board.
Yeah, something goes through for Dignitas, and that's important. And a good touch from Zanil. And for the same criticism I had for Dignitas, I go for Pirates now. You just can't leave someone open at the top of the box in a shooting position. Pirates make that mistake, and they pay for it.
First tie game of the series. A lot of time on the clock. Eris, backboard. A threatening look. 5 up. Just floats it in front. Rolls off the hood. A chance here for Dig to, again, clear out their own side. Demo will help for the power play. But they can't find this possession. I mean, you get a demo, but you don't get anywhere near the midfield line. No progression upfield. No set defense to know of. Eris playing with his food for now. Still gets it around 1. Zanil has to burn all of his boost, and back to the midfield we go.
Oh.
Finally, Zanil wins a touch, but Dignitas have been yet to really park up and find some space.
Yeah, some great little 1-2 passes coming out from Pirates, and they're buying themselves a lot of space because of it. You saw in Game 1 what happens when they all work. They go up 4-0, but here in this game, you're just seeing them expose the little gaps in between Dignitas and Pirates. You can see 5 up, he's got options, and Andy pulls out, knowing that Dignitas were going to collapse. And now Dignitas maybe trying to find some offense here.
5 up with a great read. Gets some boost as well. Evo still challenging. Massive win as it gets back into the hands of Zanil. 2 demos, so Dig have a bit of an open net to work with, but just buys them enough time to get to the midfield, set up their defense, get boost, and try to pull this offense forward. Andy with a challenge off the ceiling, shuts it down, and we pull this ball again laterally to the other wall. Back into the box. Goal line save. The cluster right now, both teams playing just kind of off ball. Focus so much on the initial challenge, and maybe this helps Dig.
Yeah, 5 up went for a big bump. And if he had connected, it could have been a disaster for Dignitas. Still, Pirates on the boat have been knocking the door quite a bit. It's going to stay up. Maybe Dignitas could steal this one away. Evo's there, and it's going to stay up for Arsenal. Pirates will knock it down, and overtime we go.
A big game 2 for Dignitas. They have to win this one to keep their dreams alive. You got to figure that the momentum would be too much to overcome. Harris off the kickoff. Dignitas have so much space to work with now as Evo plays it down through the corner. 5 up. Gets demoed off the play. Buying time is Andy. Popped up yet again. A neutral ball here for Dig to handle.
And Dig's done well to poke it free on some of these air dribbles coming out from Pirates. They got to turn it into something. You've got 7 shots to the side of Dignitas, 11 for Pirates. Demos come out as Andy, I think, chased Evo all the way back to his own side. And now Evo trying to get back into the play as Pirates setting something up. Eris across the box was there, but couldn't pick it up. It was cut out by Dignitas, and here comes Pirates.
Looks like Dig are starting to make their reads onto the defense of Pirates much more cleanly as this overtime has continued. Could be a sign of things to come. Now they got to break out. The number 1 objective. Eris still finding his food and immediately goes for a shot upper 90. Huge save by Arsenal. Follow-up's going to be there from 5 up. It looks promising for Dig, but just too much on the goal line.
I mean, that was an incredible shot from Eris, and Arsenal with a great save. I mean, what more can you ask? He's backwards now, and that's all he could do. Pirates go up 2-0 in the series.
You know, it really looked like Dignitas were starting to find more space to work with. They were looking a little bit more comfortable. They were reading the Pirates' defense. They were understanding where the challenges needed to be, when they could challenge the ball, when they could start to move up and find one another, especially in that OT. Things were promising, but the offense just isn't doing enough right now. And the defense for both teams, credit-wise, has been struggling to find clears. We've been talking about it all series, all game. Just there, so much pressure, so much overwhelming force from Eris. It forced the save. 5 up in the right place at the right time. Punches it through. And once more, you're looking at, Pirates are playing fine. Dignitas look like they're starting to get going a little bit, but just not enough here, Corelli.
Yeah, you saw a little bit of a closer game. Obviously, Pirates didn't have the same free-flying attack that they did in Game 1, but ultimately it was a better attack from Pirates. And Dignitas, though, this wasn't without their opportunity. You're walking away with 8 shots in this game. That's nothing to scoff at for Dignitas. So they were able to find some opportunity. They were able to put away a goal. And it was just a 1-goal game. It's just now you've run out of time for Dignitas. It's such a crucial game here in the last day of league play. You find yourselves down 0-2 in a best of 5. it almost feels too little too late. They would have to pull off now the reverse sweep.
It's possible, but the mountain is very steep, and you got to start climbing. And you have to think, if you're Dignitas, to win this series, it can't just be a 1-goal game. It has to be multiple shots, 2 or 3 goals, establish some kind of baseline, some rhythm. Because so far, there just hasn't been much. That touch is great. And off the opening kickoff into Game 3, down 2-0. Dignitas trying to pull this series out and keep their hopes alive.
It's crucial for Dignitas to get involved in this game early, meaning scoring. Because Pirates on a Boat, they have been consistent in their 2 games, putting away continuous goals. And for Dignitas, they've spent a lot of time on the offensive side, but only come up with 1 so far in the series.
A bit of a miscue. Looks like that should have been Arsenal's take. And it gives it right back to 5-Up, who will play the bounce. Looking for the center, has it to Eris. Great setup from Pirates. Unable to close the deal, and once more, Dig have opportunities aplenty defensively that they can't convert down on the other side.
You see follow-up from Zenil, and Dignitas scoring at the right time. This is what we were talking about, Spaceman. This is when you have to score. You've got to strike early with Andy backflipping in the net. Leaves it open. And for Dignitas, you can see the bottom left of your screen. That goal coming at a crucial time. The cutoff is right where OG's at, and Dig are right behind them. But Pirates on a Boat just below Dig means there's something left for Pirates to play for. And that's why this series is so crucial. Both these teams fighting for that cutoff.
Caster curses are a beautiful thing, and Andy in open space is just as good. Evo with a better save, as Anil kicks it to the corner. 5-Up, beautiful pass all the way down. Eris yet again involved in the offense.
Yeah, great work from Eris here. Zenil smartly playing this one to the corner. Unfortunately, it's right into the hands of Eris, who dishes it perfectly in front of 5-Up. He's able to wind up and pick his spot. For Pirates, a great response.
Can't slow down if you're Dig. Already got 1 on the board. Got to keep it moving. Thrown downfield to Andy. And you got to think in these situations, if you're Dignitas, right? You want to keep everybody up. The more you pull back, the more space you give Pirates, the more ways they'll find to pick you apart. Maybe some of that fake confidence that's needed to kind of, again, force the defense of Pirates to respect you at the midfield. But the challenge game just hasn't been there. Dignitas trying to work back to the midfield line.
Dignitas, it's super important for them to find continued success here. Can't just go back into the old ways of kind of just being beaten up by Pirates. You could look towards any of the players on Dignitas. I was about to point out one, but I was like, you know what? I mean, all 3 of them have that potential to show us something offensively. Some demos coming out for Pirates on a Boat, and that might free up some space for them to break out.
Trying to win some more challenges in the offensive third, so Dignitas looking, again, like what they showed in the last OT. Looking a little more comfortable on their one-on-ones downfield. They can chain that into some good rebounds off the back wall. They might be able to find something like this as Evo crashes in just in time. The handoff from Zenil. And this is what we are waiting for from Dig, just using the space on the backboard and allowing a playmaker like Evo to fly up and finish the job.
And that's a spectacular touch from Zenil to set that one up, getting the double tap to the back wall. And instead of just taking the shot, he's passing it off to his teammates on that double tap. Very smart from Zenil. And that's the type of creativity Dignitas needs if they're going to come back in this series.
Oh my God. Well, we got ourselves a tie game, and Dig will have to try again on the next one.
And I mean, what can you do? For Dignitas, you get your equalizer back, or you get the lead back, and then just like that, Pirates respond 5-Up with a great flick onto the far post. Nobody was ready for it, and we're all tied up once again.
That's the scary part. Nobody was expecting it, so they can have to, again, tap into some of that premonition they've had defensively at times and really start focusing on where those challenges might come from. For the midfield, Arsenal already up for the pre-jump. Gets it. Wanted a better pinch, but a good idea from the captain. Zenil circling around. Trying to set up Evo in the box. Will do so. Now all members of Dignitas pushed up.
This game feels like it's crawling along, but Eris is making sure this one goes in. Combining with Andy, and again, Andy involved in the mix. Nobody back for Dignitas. And a disaster goal to give up on you. If you're on the side of Dignitas, you've got to have someone back, and Pirates take advantage.
Luckily, still plenty of time on the clock and a lot of opportunities here for Dig. They got to find a way to control possessions. If they're going to lose the ones, the mountain gets steeper. Arsenal fighting for the ball through the corner. Leaves it to Zanil. Keep it on the ground through the midfield. For now, into the blue half. Arsenal winning another massive 50. It actually falls favorably for Dig. And Evo punches it back into play. Downfield is Eris, ready for the touch. Leaves off. A chance here for Dig to, again, make a statement in this Game 3. Down 2-0 in the series. We'd love to see them hold on to the ball just a little bit more.
Great touches here from Pirates. Andy can get this one down and in. Everyone was there to crash it on Pirates. And again, Andy finding the mark. There's a great touch from Eris, but Andy putting this one off the crossbar. And again, Eris in 5 up there to ensure that one's going in. 4-2 now, and Pirates on the boat trying to sweep Dignitas.
How deep can you dig if you're Dig at this point? What do you have in the bag? What dimensions of offense have you not shown us yet? Through the corner, Arsenal, back touch to Zanil. I like the idea. There's just not enough there right now. Under 60 to play. Tournament life on the line for Dignitas. Andy taking his time clearing this one. A lot of boost at the midfield to work with. Eris tried to pop it up, but Zanil will be there for the recovery. And rebounds aplenty for Dig. He would get it in the front of the box, but nobody else moving up. Evo so late to the party. You got to think you got to move a member up if you're Dig.
But up on 30 seconds left, Dig has to show something here. A sign of life. And you certainly don't want 5 up, scooting this one towards the net. Dignitas trying to throw everything they've got at Pirates for one last-ditch effort.
Decent shot. Better save. You need something now. It's becoming mathematically impossible. And with this clear just to kill time, it will be Dignitas will get swept in their biggest series of the tournament. And it seems like fate is completely now out of their hands as Pirates will take it 3-0 and do all they need to help secure a spot in the top 6.
Yeah, we talked about how it's important for Dignitas to win this series if they want to, keep a relative contention for the top 6 cutoff. They're not completely out, but their road became very tough. And for Pirates on a boat, they have taken care of the business they've needed to so far, at least against Dignitas. Got one more match to get through.
It's tough to, see opportunities for sure for Dig, and I'm sure they're, aware of all the different looks they've had. A couple of great setups from Zanil over to Evo. But I think the big thing that this team, I don't know if it's a confidence issue. I don't know if it's just maybe a synergy issue, but they're not threatening on the field at all. It doesn't ever seem like, especially against this Pirates team, it didn't ever seem like Pirates were having to cover more than just where they were at defensively. It didn't seem like they were having to give up more space at the midfield to make sure they were accounting for boost that was grabbed. It seems like Dig is missing some kind of urgency, some kind of fear factor. They just, not only do they look like a completely different team from weeks, 1, 2 through now, but Crowley, they're never a threat on the field. There was never a time where we're sitting there, even with the lead, thinking Dignitas are about to put their stamp down on this game and make Pirates force some respect. It's tough to watch because these players are so good, and obviously there was a lot of hype after the first 2 weeks, but that is a very, very, very lackluster performance in the past 4, 5, 6 days of Rocket League for Dig.
And it's a shame too, because again, it's nothing against the players here. I think all 3 players on Dignitas are great, but they have not been playing up to the standard that I think I would expect them to. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing to have that expectation as a player. You certainly don't want to have the opposite, where people don't expect great things from you. But I do expect great things from Dignitas. So to see them be swept by Pirates on a boat, who are also a team that I expect better from throughout this league play, at least, that's disappointing on the Dignitas side.
I'd like to get Hootie back in here. I believe we'll have an interview with 5 Up from Pirates on a Boat. But Hootie, we picked Pirates just from the analyst brain. We're like, we think Pirates probably have this matchup. But again, it's like the Dignitas woes continue, and still at match after match, we're seeing the same version of Dig. We're not seeing the one that's making the adjustments, and it's tough to watch. But for Pirates, they're trying to control their destiny here, man, and they did everything they possibly could. They swept. That's massive for their map count.
Absolutely. And on the back of that incredible Andy performance in game 1, 4 goals to himself is just unbelievable, man. He was so that was the spark that I think Pirates needed to take down this Dig team so confidently. You know, Dig continued to fight, and they put together some nice plays, but it really felt as though Pirates had control of things. It never felt as though they were letting things slip from their grasp. Eris is such an impressive player. I think it was Spaceman at the beginning of the series says Andy and Eris are criminally underrated, and I could not agree more. Those are two players that we need to start talking about a little bit more in the grand scheme of things. But I do want to update everyone while we watch these replays on what's going on around us, because of course we are in our second out of 3 rounds for today, which means teams are starting to lock in. You know, these situations are starting to they're starting to show themselves. And so here's what we have. All right, right now, Hoab, of course, 3-0 sweep over Dig. We have Space Station defeating Rebellion 3-1. Now, due to that win, Gen G and Space Station officially clinch a top 4 spot. So we have our top 4 teams in the upper side of the playoff bracket, and that is G2, RMC, Gen G, and Space Station. Those are going to be our top 4 in the upper side. Getting some typing here, so I may be incorrect there. We'll see. But I think those are our top 4 teams right now, clinched into the top 4. And we've got only 2 spots remaining as we move into our final round of matches for today. Rebellion, OG, Dig, and Pirates still fighting, still hoping for a chance at one of those either final single spot or final 2 spots. It kind of depends on how the rest of this round unfolds. But with our top 4 that are currently clinched, any surprises there or pretty straightforward?
Go ahead, Spaceman.
Oh, I mean, I'm happy to see RMC in the top 4. I think outside of maybe just their overall performance being the biggest surprise, no, I think that's a pretty strong top 4, and SSG being kind of right behind. That's really how NA has looked outside RMC for most of the season. So this looks pretty standard from my eyes.
Well, we do have 5 up on the line, so let me take a quick chat with him about the series. 5 up. Hey, man, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me today. Congratulations on your win. I want to talk to you about this being your first RLCS season. You have a top 8 final placement, which I think is incredible for a first season. And you guys, if I'm not mistaken, close out the season with a top 4 finish in that final regional. What are your general thoughts about your first season as an RLCS professional?
Yeah, well, when we were going into it, everyone was having us at like the 12, all the predictions and stuff, and so we didn't have too much expectations because when we picked up Eris, you know, we had like a week to prepare before RLCS. So we were kind of just playing, you know, seeing what would happen, and then we got top 8 and then top 8 and then missed top 8, which was unfortunate, but by the end of it we felt pretty good, like we could beat anybody on our day. So we were happy with the season, I'd say. Absolutely,
as you should be. So you got your first season under your belt as a professional, and it is obviously an open circuit style play at the professional level in RLCS. I'm sure that you are aware in the past, obviously RLCS used to be league play, and now you're getting a little taste of that here in the Shift Summer League. So I want to know what are your thoughts about league play versus the open circuit? Do you have a preference to one? What are some of the things that you like about league play?
I like league play mainly because everyone has equal opportunity to make the playoffs and stuff like that. You know, you play every team. There's no such thing as like a Mickey bracket, you know, some people are saying.
Right.
So that's what I like about it, the main thing.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like you said, every team has to face all other teams, right? There's no as you said, no Mickey bracket. Or on the inverse side of that, I know there was a lot of discussion about Space Station in the first half of the season continuing to run into Gen G. So this is definitely a different style of play, a style of system for professional play. Well, listen, you guys, it's no secret here. You guys had a slow start to Shift Summer League, but in week 2 and now, of course, in week 3, you guys have made big strides, big improvements, and still in the running for that top 6 playoff berth. What, from your perspective, has changed from early Shift Summer League matches now into this later half?
I think the early parts of Shift, we were just a little bit rusty. You know, we haven't been playing too much threes, and you know we just weren't playing that great, honestly. But now we have like our confidence back, I'd say, and it's been going well for us at least. So
it sure has, man. You guys should be confident. You're rocking and rolling, and you still have life for this top 6 playoff bracket. Thank you for chatting with me. Best of luck with the rest of your matches. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll have our final match of the day.
Thanks, Judy.
Can somebody take my breath away? Hold me tight, lonely day. I've been searching for something to ease my mind, till you came along, never thought I'd find. Take me away in this moment when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away in this moment when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away. Take me away. Somebody just took my breath away. Held me so tight, you numb my pain. I was searching for something to ease my mind. Didn't realize you're the one I'd find. Take me away in this moment when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away in this moment when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is our final match of Shift Summer League play. We've got the playoff bracket next week. And listen, folks, we've already got our 6 teams. They are locked in, and we will, we'll see them play next week. That is G2 Stride, RMC, Space Station Gaming, Gen G Mobile One Racing, Shopify Rebellion, and OG. That is going to be your 6 teams that have qualified through to the playoff bracket. Of course, that unfortunately leaves Dignitas, Pirates on a Boat, Incorrect, and Fun being eliminated from Shift Summer League. And the action's not done yet. We've got a banger matchup here. While the teams are locked in, the seeding is not in place. So this final round here is still exciting. It's still important. And it's going to be an intense one here. We have RMC versus Shopify Rebellion. Spaceman, talk to me. What are you thinking about this series?
I think, number one, it's just good that we have all of our teams for playoffs next week. I think it's a good representation of the entire region, all the best teams now in the playoffs. But this will actually be a really fun test for RMC because I think Shopify's offense is so speedy. They are so great, especially when it comes to like infield passing, close quarters passing. When we watch many times where like Justin or Parth are working through the corner, they throw it back towards the center of the box, and then somebody's there to kind of cross it, hit it in stride. This team plays the same kind of passing game that RMC now plays at the midfield. So this will be a really fun test for RMC because I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched. I would still give the nod overall to Shopify, but from the RMC I've seen as of late, man, this could be a very good series to show what RMC is really capable of.
And Corelli, talk to me about your thoughts. I think something to note there is we've got a battle of kind of two tales: the consistency of RMC versus the hot and cold nature of Rebellion. What are you thinking about this series?
Yeah, I think that Rebellion, listen, I mean, they were consistent enough to get to top 6. Obviously, they're sitting at 5th right now. I think for RMC, if you saw yesterday on Twitter, if you follow the players, especially Slater, he was very proud of them sitting at the top of the standings. As it sits right now, they are not the top of the standings. They're number 2. They're behind G2. G2 caught up in the end. And, again, we talk about there's some pride here. This is an unsigned team. This is a team that's not going to Worlds. This is a team that this is the only thing that they're going to play in the offseason. This is a team that's here and showing up and trying their hardest and practicing for this league play tournament. There's in my mind, it's a very big factor to look at this and say, RMC have a lot of things to play for at the moment, and that might be a big factor in this series.
It sure is. Well, listen, I want to update everyone because we talked about how the teams are locked in, but there is still something to fight for here in the final round. So I'm just going to give you the seeding implications for round 3. We have G2 and RMC fighting for the #1 seed. So while they're not on top right now, they could be. They might need a little help from Dignitas taking down G2 in their match, or potentially even just taking a game or two, right? If RMC can sweep, game differential might come into play. I don't know all the tiebreakers, but that is your 2 teams fighting for that #1 seed. You have Space Station and Gen G fighting for the #3 seed. So we do have, as we said earlier, we do have our top 4 separated. So those teams that are going to be in the upper side of the bracket, and we'll give you a glance at that later. G2, RMC, Space Station, and Gen G, they're going to get 2 lives once we get to the playoff bracket, whereas Rebellion and OG will only get 1 life. But SR and OG are going to be fighting for that 5th seed. So seeding is not done. We've still got some shuffling that could happen here in that standings order. And it all comes down to this final round. If you want to know, I know we glanced at it earlier, but there's all kinds of matches. I'm sure it's hard to keep up. Here is who is playing in this final round. Of course, we have our mainstream match, RMC versus Shopify Rebellion. We have Space Station taking on Poab. We have Gen G taking on Incorrect. We have Dignitas versus G2. And the final match is OG versus Fun. So those are going to be your matchups that will determine the seeding as we move into the playoff bracket. Now, I know we've done this a couple times, but I want to ask, Spaceman, who is your key player for RMC if they're going to get this win over Rebellion?
It's got to be Cheese, right? I mean, it's not just the standout for the past week and a half, not just one of the statistical leaders for this team, the facilitator, the superstar in the making who has just hit a different level, looks the most comfortable maybe he's ever looked. And when he plays well, everybody else feeds off that. Rattles plays better, Magic Bear plays better. Cheese has become that #2 option that I think we were waiting for Magic Bear to be, and there was times where he certainly wasn't, but Cheese has been that guy for this team, point blank period. And if he plays well, if he plays as fast as he was playing yesterday and the week before, if he plays as consistently aggressive as he was yesterday, these challenges that he's winning help set up the offense. I got to go with Cheese. I just think he's the difference maker.
And Corelli, for the other side, if Rebellion wants to get this dub over RMC, who do you think is the key piece for them?
You asked me this last time, and I'm going to stick with the same answer. It's 2-piece, man. I feel like 2-piece is a big difference maker for Shopify, or for Rebellion rather. And I feel like for RMC, they're gonna have their hands full with him. And it's not just like, oh, I want 2-piece to pop off and stuff like that. That doesn't really mean anything. I'm talking about 2-piece playing off of Justin on the attack. Those are the types of plays, a little give and go to the midfield, the cherry pick downfield. Those are the types of things you see 2-piece do in a lot of these games. And I feel like for RMC, a team that has traditionally had some weaker defenses, some defenses that get a little scrambled at times, that's the weakness. And I think Rebellion have a perfect matchup in that sense.
Sure. Well, you've each explained what you think the key takeaways or key pieces for each team is, but let's get into predictions. Corelli, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to unfold in this series, RMC versus Rebellion?
RMC 3-1 is what I'm going with. I'm saying RMC coming out on top. Like I said, I think they have a lot to play for, not only for seeding, but just I think they have a lot to prove. They would love to just go online with a screenshot saying, hey, we're first. And a 3-1, 3-0. I won't guarantee it, but it'll certainly help.
And Spaceman?
I'm going to go RMC 5. I think we go 5. I think RMC is the better team at the moment. And I think that, both these teams are so good, though. I would not be surprised if this goes the distance, but I got RMC.
Hey, listen, I bailed you guys out last time. I'm going to do it again. We cannot cast or curse. I'll go Rebellion. We are going to 5, though. It's inevitable. We're going to have a Game 5 match here. I'm excited to see it. I do want to, before we get in there, I want to update everyone. If SR lose in Game 5 and OG win in Game 5, they are absolutely perfectly tied at 9-9 with a 0 game differential and are also tied head-to-head. So we might even get a tiebreaker. So that's on the cards are on the table. We'll see if that unfolds. I just wanted to mention that before we get into the series. But the players are here. They're ready to rock. We got Rebellion versus RMC. Fellas, take it away.
Corelli. The playoffs are set. Yeah, that's right, buddy. The playoffs are set in stone. We have secured all of our 6 teams for next week. And with that being said, now it's time to decide some seeding. It's RMC versus Shopify Rebellion. One of the hottest teams in the league in RMC. One of the most impressive squads in the league in Rebellion. 2 very high-powered offenses. A lot of speed, a lot of cadence. It's going to be a fun one.
Oh, absolutely. It would be interesting to see the Game 5 come out from RMC with just what Hoodie said there at the end. Rebellion, if they lost at 5 and OG win in Game 5, we might get some bonus Rocket League tonight. With a best of 7, that would have to determine the tiebreaker there. That would be after 2 other tiebreakers, so that's not just the first tiebreaker, that would be the 3rd tiebreaker.
I like where this is headed. I also like the fact that we're starting off with RMC and Shopify Rebellion for the final match, potentially, of the night. We've had 3 best of 5s, this being 3rd. If you're just joining us, welcome in. RMC trying to secure some seeding. Same for Shopify. Both teams now into the playoffs for next week, so they can breathe a sigh of relief. But Corelli, you talked about one thing in the pregame, and you talked about the fact that RMC are a squad that's unsigned. There's a bit of an ego thing here. They want to prove that not only do they deserve to be on a legitimate organization like they were earlier in the season, but you know, they're not going to the World Championship. And there's certainly been conversations about whether that's a good thing, whether that's a bad thing, how the players feel about it. But they want to prove that even if we were still able to qualify, RMC maybe deserved to be there. And they're trying to show that to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot to play for, like I keep mentioning, than just this tournament, than just this league. And I think that they've shown that throughout this league. They've come into this, taken it very seriously, and have played up to, I think, well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, last night, that was peak potential for RMC with that 3-0. But, you know, they're still trying to do that day in and day out, week in and week out. So for RMC, taking down Rebellion would be no small feat here, and it would be another notch in the belt.
It was a decent pass out. Magic trying to bully his way through, but a 3-man point play not going to happen here. RMC spreading the offense wide to start off game 1. One demo to help out for Shopify. They'll try to recover defensively, getting challenged by Magic Bear immediately and gets it around 1. But again, back in with a couple of bumps on the goal line. We saw Reynolds open it up earlier. Magic Bear gets a small chip, but the physicality from RMC will be a factor in this series, and Shopify have to be ready for it.
Yeah, some great speed coming out from Justin there on the Rebellion side. Getting up quick. Rebellion have to know, even if they didn't watch any VOD or anything, they have to know that RMC had a great ending to their night last night. They have to know the threat that RMC employ when they're on their best game. And right now I can tell you that RMC playing just fine. Certainly not coming out flat. Coming out with that confidence, which we saw last night proved to be quite deadly for the opposition. They've yet to break through.
The one Achilles heel that remains from the old LG roster, again, is boost past the midfield. RMC at times struggling to not only hold on to that resource, but when they give it away on the other end, they can get caught on defense, rotating back. Justin was ready for the pass, and he finds the first goal.
That's a fantastic pass from Parth, and he saw Justin creeping up towards the top of the box, and instead of taking the shot, he wouldn't have had a lot of power on that shot, so you give it down to your teammates and let the magic happen. And with Justin, Rebellion comfortably on top.
Couple of big bumps early on, but in space, Shopify looked like the better team as of now. Justin trying to find the second. And the defensive prowess from RMC, has certainly been much more interesting in the last 2 weeks. They look like they've cleaned up the majority of those double commits on the back line, and not as many communication problems, Corelli, as they've had in weeks prior.
And that's the biggest concern, communication, some hesitation coming out from RMC defensively. Can't really say that's been the case so far, and their record shows that. And a lot more confidence coming out of this man right here, Cheese, and he's about to get even more confident. He takes that one across the map, and RMC find their equalizer.
It cannot be that free. Cheese ran out of boost into the offensive third, did just enough to push the ball out in front of the last defender in the net. Enjoy the black hole. 1-1 with a minute 50.
And that's the scary part of RMC. Cheese on a good day is a very scary player. And for Justin, not scoring that goal, that was wide open. They're going to get it back, so it's all good. Rebellion back into the driver's seat.
Yeah, bit of an uncharacteristic miss. I don't think Reynolds is going to be able to get there, but doesn't really matter when the setup is just as great. And again, even when Justin maybe misses the look, you can always count on him to recenter out for a teammate. Does it just there. Back into the lead goes Shopify. A $1:39 to play. And a kickoff win from RMC. Cheese from the side wall has a lot to work with. Down to Magic Bear. Tries to give the handoff.
Whoa.
And guess what? It floats through. And we got a tie game.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but Magic Bear forced that one through. He takes the mid boost, and he has Cheese crossing towards the net. And Magic Bear just gets enough on it. In fact, Parth was the one who pushed it out, but it still had so much momentum behind it that it crawled in for RMC. Cheese, he's got 4 shots to his name so far, and that's a good thing if you're on the RMC side. That's the man you want putting on the pressure on the opposition.
And you're always waiting for the air dribble bump, the off play to come through from RMC, so surely Shopify were thinking about that as Magic Bear crashed the net. Fortunately, just not enough muster to spin the ball back out off the back wall. Great clear from Shopify. Magic Bear plays a low post, actually hits it. And they'll have to try again from the side wall, swing the offense back through once more. Parth with the clear, and back to the midfield we go.
A lot of traffic there for Magic Bear, and I don't blame him for going wide on that shot. He was trying to make sure that he didn't even hit, not only hit the defender, but his teammates inside the net that was opening up some lanes. So RMC, their go-ahead goal goes to the wayside, and now Cheese trying to get it back. Not going to get past 2-piece.
And at least one thing from the RMC offense as of now that's been different is Cheese staying upfield after his first touch. He's working in the corner. He's grabbing boost. He's using the sidewall. He's being that second striker that formerly LG always needed and rarely had, but currently here RMC looking much more composed as an offense. Justin trying to play the double, immediately taken away, cleared downfield by Cheese. Reynolds will extend over to Magic Bear, cut down by 2-piece and back through the midfield. It's a race to the ball through the corner for Shopify, trying to set up inside the corner.
This is good work from Shopify, keeping it awkward for RMC, and they may be able to have the last laugh. The dish off from Justin is too high for Parth. Time ticking down. 2-piece might have a last chance here. Shot on target. 2-piece puts it home, and Rebellion steal away game 1.
Cheese plays it through the corner, gives up possession, and 2-piece absolutely knows where he's going with this one. Everybody throws themselves at the net. They sneak it through. And old problems rear back around for RMC, but for Shopify, great recognition with low time on the clock to immediately get upfield and find the goal.
Well, I told Hoodie, you know, my player to watch 2-piece, and not just for the solo plays, not for the pop-off moments, as everyone always says, but that was a solo play, and that was a pop-off moment from 2-piece, settling game 1 without an overtime, and a much-needed goal, I think, for Rebellion. RMC certainly the type of team that if you can smack them in the face early, they lose a lot of confidence, they get thrown out of rhythm, and for Rebellion, they are set up nicely in this series.
RMC very much a squad, either defensively when they get boost starved or with low time on the clock when they're trying to wane this game down. They can give up some interesting looks defensively. So Shopify clearly did their homework. RMC, however, played great at the midfield. Again, these are two teams that really play similarly in their counterattacks and how they like to orchestrate their offense. See a lot of similar spots. You know, you look at Justin kind of playing the Reynolds position, kind of moving directly towards the center net. See 2-piece and Parth working from the corners, working from the side wall, taking a page out of Magic Bear and Cheese's playbook. But these are all players that have had many, many, many reps against one another, and this is just another tally in the history book between these two teams. Let's get it going into game number 2. A 1-0 lead for Shopify. Again, this series just matters for standings. Both teams have qualified into the playoff bracket. If you're a fan, you can breathe, but we keep it moving to find out who will get the better seed.
Curious to see how RMC respond. Game 1, that is earth-shattering to lose in that fashion, and we've seen RMC do that in many series throughout RLCS. See if they just pick it up right where they left off, because it wasn't a bad game up until that moment from RMC. Rebellion and RMC have certainly been equally matched so far.
Yeah, what version of RMC do you get into game 2? The same aggressive type, the off-ball offense that they're so accustomed to? Or are they more reserved, more pulled back? What a pass to Parth. Perfectly set up. Okay, well, perfectly set up. I'm going to give that nod to Parth because that was just an angle that's so tough to read.
I'm FaceTiming Slater right now. What on earth is this, Slater? Congratulations, Parth. That is the easiest goal you're ever going to get in your entire life.
That'll be number 5 for next week's top 5.
We're about to have a not top 5.
Oh, I can make that very quickly. Cheese gets the handoff from the kickoff. All right, so very early on, Shopify getting gifted a goal. And again, going to be up to RMC to dig deep. Throws it towards the back wall. Magic Bear will put it away, and that's how you respond downfield.
Yeah, great play from Cheese here. And this is kind of that snake bite offense on the counter, just trying to get this one downfield as fast as you possibly can. You're in, and you're out. MB putting that one home, and RMC, after a disaster own goal, able to answer back in the first minute.
Everybody can have one because they're going to need it. And Reynolds will try to win the kickoff. Gives it to Justin. Shopify with a lot of space here, but Magic Bear, again, one of the better defenders in NA, who doesn't often get the accolades he deserves for it. Finds a demo upfield, which will allow Cheese to now take a shot if he chooses. Plays the bounce. Justin back out to Magic. A double commit. Net's a bit open. Reynolds patiently at the midfield, rightfully so, not able to crash in time.
Decent placement from RMC, but the defense so quick from Rebellion. Smart from them to stay with that play. Even on the double commits, you got to at least make the save, and they certainly do that. And for Rebellion, stave off a very crucial goal from RMC.
And they're forcing Shopify defense to burn as much boost as possible. Cheese trying to play the one, but just can't get around in time. Parth off the side wall will lose it to Reddles. Slater, the captain, working into the box. And a bit of a dead touch, but actually gives it right back into the midfield. Neutral ball here. RMC will still get a hand on it. Pretty free ball there for two-piece. And a bit chaotic on the counterattacks. Parth should be able to put it away, and he will. A beautiful double tap for the lead.
Yeah, Parth. I mean, this is not the best work from Cheese. You can't pop this one up in front of your own box, and everyone from RMC's trying to make amends. They knew Parth was looming, and that is a routine double tap for him.
How good has Parth been on this team? I mean, how consistently as just a scorer? And you need to rely on somebody to close the deal off the backboard. To hit those double taps almost every single time. Parth has been there.
Yeah, he's found himself in that shooter role multiple times, and it's funny because he hasn't had to be invoked too often from Rebellion, because a lot of times Justin and two-piece get the job done. But when Parth is able to move up and get into a shooting position, it's been deadly. He's 2 for 3 in this game alone.
I'll set up by Reynolds. Cheese, dead center net. It'll be a free possession here for Shopify. A little threatening shot early on. Plenty of time here in game 2. A 1-0 lead for Shopify as RMC try to work back. Reynolds off the ceiling. Through the midfield, it's going to be Magic Bear, who puts a great floater on the net and sneaks it under the crossbar.
I'm shocked this one goes through for Magic Bear. Reynolds does well to at least make Justin jump up for this one. And Magic Bear, he ran out of boost, but so did two-piece on the jump. And that's what prevented the defense from getting up after it on the Rebellion side. Magic Bear, 2 for 7 in this game. And he's keeping RMC alive.
Chat, stop fighting, or I will send Hootie down there to throw hands. Magic Bear will wait in the back line. Reynolds goes for, I'll call it a half a psycho. Why not? Through the corner, two-piece, plays it to himself.
Is that just a crazy at that point?
Yeah.
Like a downgraded psycho?
Yeah. It's a straight jacket, I think is what they want to say. Parth picked it up, working through, gets a little bit of help from Justin, but RMC take back possession.
Justin's been so smart as this kind of aerial defender. That's the second one he's gotten, but hold on, Jesus just bowling his way through. It's a little lackadaisical from Rebellion as Justin got the initial great touch to slow down RMC. And Rebellion finding themselves on the defensive foot more often than maybe they would like, as it has now pinched to the RMC side.
Nice play by Reynolds. Magic Bear to the midfield.
What happened? What I missed?
He went for, I think, a little pogo by himself and fell off the ball. It was great, though. I love Slater.
Okay.
Yeah. My captain, my prom king. Look at him. Back in the midfield. Gives away possession. Two-piece and a one-on-one. Gets Magic Bear to bite, but Magic Bear holds his line just in time. Plays the lower net, and back the other way we go. And we might be getting a pause. I think we will be. Quick call by Cheese in the game comm. Love that. And we'll make sure everything's good to go. We'll get a check-in with the admins and probably start off, I believe, with about a minute on the clock, 2-2 game. I think Cheese is just having some connection issues. But welcome back. How you doing? Good to hear from you. So far, this has been kind of the series that I think, Corelli, you and I wanted. Close down to the wire. Both teams in their counterattacks have been clean. a lot of just really even offense, and the pace from both teams has been pretty much similar. This is a good series so far.
Yeah, there's no reason to overbloat it with words. It's a close series so far. It's been 2 close games. I know we have 57 seconds left, but it's been back and forth in game 2. It was back and forth in game 1. It required a 0-second goal from Rebellion to close that one out. This was close. This has been a close series and been a fun one to watch. I think so far you're getting what you paid for if you expected Rebellion and RMC to go toe-to-toe.
Just making sure all the players are okay. And again, I think from the word the admins have given us, we are just going to be restarting from 1 minute on the clock, off kickoff, tie game as always. And we'll wait to make sure all the players are good to go. And we'll get the new lobby. But Corelli, I mean, again, this is a series that is just coming down for 2 teams fighting for seeding. So luckily, there's not much on the line outside of, hopefully if you're Shopify or RMC, maybe you don't want to run into G2 next week. But both these teams have qualified for playoffs next week through the last 3 weeks of action. I think this is a good showing from both squads, knowing that kind of both these teams started surging late into the RLCS this season. Neither will be at Worlds, but kind of putting on a good display of what they're capable of before next season kicks off, and if anybody's interested in these teams.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I actually think for a lot of these, if you're an NA fan at least, NA's got some pretty good teams outside of their top 4, and when you're talking about teams like RMC, teams like Rebellion, who are maybe sitting outside of like the G2s, the Gen Gs, the space stations, and I mean, I guess typically the OGs at this point, with the way OG's been playing for to qualify for LANs and Worlds. You're still getting a world-class matchup between these 2 teams. So kind of fun on the North American side to slowly start to see that growth in these teams in the North American side of things. And you're getting some fun series because of it.
I would love to bring Hootie back for a second if possible, because I know there's matches currently going on around the league at the moment. Hootie, do you have any updates for us on how things are looking for a potential tiebreaker game?
I sure do. I'm keeping tabs on this OG versus Fun match. OG did win game number 1, but Fun has surged back into it. An overtime game. They win 6-5. It was a barn burner, as we would say down here in Arkansas. So the series is tied 1-1. Fun, they're making it close. And the first game as well, I think it was 2-0 or something. It wasn't out of control. So certainly not an easy road for OG. And the of course, as we said early on, the tiebreaker is still on the table. I'll just remind everybody, because I know it's a little bit complicated, but if Rebellion lose in Game 5 in this current series that you're watching, and OG win in Game 5, of course, versus Fun, then we could, or we will have a tiebreaker between Rebellion and OG. I do not have the other matches pulled up, but I can get them up pretty quickly. We've got G2 versus Dig. We've got Space Station versus Poab. G2 is currently up 2-0 in the series. They are tied in this game 3 with 1:38 to play. We've got Space Station up 2-1 in the series over Poab with 3:30 on the clock, but Poab's currently leading 1-0 in that series. What is our other match? Gen G is what we need to check on, and they are currently winning a match. It's in the post-game celebration screen, so give me one moment. I see
it says here they're 1-0 over incorrect, but I don't know if it's 2-0.
Beautiful. 1-0 over incorrect. So it looks like they're just getting started as well. And I think, fellas, the players are all set on the field, so we're going to send you guys back into the match.
Let's get back into it. Hootie, as always, thank you so much, bud. It's good to hear that, Fun's putting up a fight against OG, but our attention swings back into this series where Corelli, game 2, we're resetting with a minute on the clock off the kickoff, tie game, 2-2 apiece. RMC, you heard it there, like if Shopify go 5 and lose, it sets up some interesting situations, but for RMC, for them, it's, one game at a time, take it as it comes. For Shopify, on a pretty good stretch right now after taking the first game.
Yeah, and you could say the same for Rebellion as well. It's one game at a time. This is an important series. And they've done that. I think this has been, as we said earlier, been a very close series so far, as Two-Piece starts off with a shot just wide.
And no wonder whether or not that pause will start to hurt RMC. It looks like it might, because right now, Shopify are playing at a different speed off the kickoff.
And guess who again? It's Park to close it out. And this would be his third. I believe that's a hat trick for him. We had to reset, so the stats won't show correctly, but I believe he's got both, or all three here in this game. And Rebellion creating enough chaos as this one's perfectly placed from Cheese, and a kickoff goal means RMC right back in it.
These kickoffs are something special for RMC. Let's watch it again. Huge win by Reddles. Very standard, and Cheese doesn't need much power to get it down lane in time. And there you go. We wipe away the entire pause, and we're back to a tie game, 39 on the clock. Down to the wire yet again between these two teams. We thought it would be close, and it absolutely is.
And now Rebellion, man, they could have sat there and been so happy about taking the lead right off of a pause as well. But then RMC, they strike back. 20 seconds left.
Long clear downfield. Two-piece into the corner. Cheese thinking about playing it, but instead will hang off the sidewall. Reynolds gets a bump as he crosses back defensively. Cheese in a 1v1 gets a demo. Here comes Magic Bear, and the physical play upfield from Cheese that needed to work in this series comes alive in game 2.
He's getting the job done on both sides of the field and in every single position, setting up his teammate, getting the demo, opening up the lane. It's an easy shot for Magic Bear, and we've had an action-packed 1 minute of play since the reset.
There's always more in store. 3 goals in 1 minute. Do we get a fourth? Parth. Maybe the man to do it. Two-piece going to have to shadow it as Magic Bear brings it back down to the ground. Justin keeps it alive. Two-piece will be there. Down to Parth. Underneath on the catch. And a long clear downfield. Magic Bear will just body block enough. GG's all around. RMC win the reset and a score of 2-1 and close out game number 2, 4-3.
Yeah, what a way to flip that one on its head from RMC. They gave up the quick goal after the reset, and Rebellion started to celebrate. RMC get the kickoff goal and then extend that into a lead. For RMC, we talked about how they would respond after giving up a 0-second goal in game 1, a team that, you know, can kind of get hit off kilter if you have a difficult start, and they certainly did. Looked very comfortable here in game 2 against Rebellion. A little bit more of the same, close back and forth, but I think this last minute really showed you what you're going to get from RMC and what we have been getting from them throughout this league play.
This is the kind of series that's great to end the night on. Whether or not we get the inevitable tiebreaker, who knows? But two teams so evenly matched, so world-class, both offenses showing us exactly what they got. Parth and Cheese, the two big standouts right now, Corelli. And going into game 3, we got ourselves a tie series, but I feel like if you're Rebellion, like, you know, you shake off the reset, you shake off the last 2 goals, but for a team that's been able to keep up pace-wise defensively with the different looks RMC are throwing them, Rebellion still got to feel pretty confident going into the rest of this series, and I'd hope so, because they are an offense that can just pick you apart. We saw it yesterday, that 4-man, 5-man passing play. They always have a way of knowing where to go with the ball, when to get their offensive players in position, and I expect nothing less going into game 3.
So now if you're Rebellion, you get kicked to the teeth a little bit near the end. And for RMC, come in with a little bit more confidence than maybe after your game 1 performance. But it's been very close, Spaceman. It's been a series that, I mean, you talk about what could be in a game 5 scenario, and I know there's another result that would, you know, rely on some tiebreakers, but this is looking like it might go 5.
It very well might. And we'd love it if it did. Welcome in from the raid. W raid all the way around from Alpha Cap. Hope you guys had a fun time. Welcome into the potential final match of the night. Pokes it downfield. A long-range missile. Magic Bear trying to close the deal. Unable to do so, and Reynolds will catch it at the midfield. An opportunity there where RMC looked like they were going to put away the first goal, but unfortunately will have to withstand a couple extra shots. Never mind. I'll shut up. It's Magic Bear for the first.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that Magic Bear was able to find this angle. I believe it was Justin back in, he was all twisted and out of sorts, and he didn't guard the near post. It's just such a tough angle for Magic Bear to find. I was shocked that he found it, but Justin was floating backwards and out of position. And RMC striking first.
Now, what do you got in the tank if you're Shopify? You've proven off the kickoff, at least off the pause in the last game, that you were more than happy of being able to do things like this. Whether it's Parth, whether it's two-piece, you just need someone to step up and make a play, and Parth helps with the initial 50.
And this comes off of a challenge that drops right in front of two-piece, and you see how deadly he is when he gets the space. Great execution from two-piece to find the equalizer, get a response back towards RMC, who were looking to run downhill after their first goal.
Another big win by Shopify. Justin a bit overextending on the challenge. Cheese just throws it towards the net. And just like that, a lead back to the boys in blue.
And this one is strange. And I think two-piece, he got caught going for the mid-boost by just a half second is what cost him. Going up just a bit too far on that mid-boost, and it cost him the challenge coming back. Otherwise, he would have been fine. He had no boost, but such a funny thing Rocket League is. You know, the timing on these things so crucial.
Yeah.
And even just a split second, that's what cost two-piece the goal.
Some of the more easy looks, I say easy with apostrophes around it. There are still times where you're watching RMC and you're like, oh, you can't put that away, but you can get the craziest goal ever. Reynolds trying to chase in pursuit through the corner. That's going to be a clear back to the midfield. Matchday should be able to handle it through the side wall. We'll pull this offense laterally. Reynolds actually gets the pick up. Beautiful play by Reynolds. Slater, hold on. My little prom king all the way to the backboard. Can't finish the play, but Matchday with the pre-jump from Narnia still getting there in time.
And still the attacks on for RMC. I think Cheese taking challenges here, and Reynolds and Matchday have been chasing Rebellion players around. Now two-piece with no boost. Double tap from Reynolds. Follow-up was there, and RMC can't put it home.
Players back to the midfield. Shopify still trying to fight for possession. A little poke away from Magic. Cheese following. Actually helps out. Working off the back wall. Reynolds looking for the teardrop. Just won't matter. Back to Reynolds. Waiting. The center out. And I like the changes we're seeing from RMC offensively. Dipping into those dimensions they've been accustomed to in the past couple of weeks.
And a lot of these plays are coming off the backboard, off the back wall, flying across the goal line on the Rebellion side, and Rebellion's weathered the storm, but you got to feel like RMC closing in on another goal.
Two-piece, sneaks it under, didn't even have to hit the crossbar. It's free real estate.
And Rebellion hasn't spent a lot of time on the offensive zone. Reynolds is here, but unfortunately, when he went up for this one, he backflips. And at that point, free goal for two-piece. So great work by Rebellion to quickly get in and put one away after so much defense was required from
special. That's what we call it. Reynolds off the kickoff. Shopify been very keen at the midfield on, again, working towards the backboard. Bounce, touch, works for Matchday. Every time you think the defense is going to set up, the gap's exposed, and Matchday lets them know about it.
And it's these long passes across the box that are setting up their third man, their shooter, Matchday. And he's getting more involved in the offense for RMC. And it's got to be a lot of the success for RMC lately is involving everyone on the attack, including Matchday, who has been stellar when given the opportunity.
It was a body block off the kickoff by Cheese. It opened up so much space at the midfield. Matchday already waiting. Matchday couldn't get the touch. Reynolds circling through the net, going far post with it, but a diving save from two-piece keeps this one out. $1.50 on the clock. 1 goal lead for RMC. Matchday high off the backboard, following, can't finish the play. Shopify just trying to break out through the midfield.
Yeah, Rebellion look really scrambled. In fact, all three players are flying away from the net, and yet they still get back in time. No, Matchday finally puts it home, but check out this replay. Everyone from Rebellion were either coming off the ceiling or had already challenged and were floating away. RMC completely scrambling the Rebellion defense.
Does it keep happening? Do RMC kick it into a different gear? Do they keep the cadence up in the offensive third? So far, the answer's been yes. No way this rolls in. Matchday going to chase just in case. Reynolds. Going to shadow all the way back to the goal line. Great pass to two-piece, but immediately read. Another opportunity for RMC to put more points on the board as Matchday was downfield waiting for a pass.
Now, Rebellion, you got a little over 20% left of the game. And you're staring down 15 shots from RMC so far to the 4 of Rebellion. Maybe their 5th looming if they could put something together right here.
Got to keep the offense up. Barth actually misses the challenge. It's okay, two-piece will recover nicely. Still, the 50 wins by Cheese in the corner have been the Achilles heel of Shopify in this series. Burning so much boost just to recover possession. Matchday waiting. And for Shopify, a wing and a prayer to get to the midfield. They can't even break out of their own zone.
I mean, the backboard is completely controlled by RMC. I mean, yes, Rebellion's there. They're trying to make a play on it, but RMC have been all over them, swarming the orange side of the field. And with 30 seconds left and 17 shots from RMC, they have been peppering the Rebellion defense.
And they're not done. They're challenging every possession. That one might sneak in. Two-piece keeps it out. 2-goal game, 10 to go. You got to score now if you're RMC, or excuse me, Shopify. Good Lord. 8 seconds. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. There goes Parth. Justin trying, but mathematically impossible. And with that, Game 3 done. 2-1 series lead to RMC. Play off the reset in Game 2. Doesn't even bother them. Come out guns blazing in this one, Corelli, and on series point.
And this was a game where it definitely looked like it was lopsided. We had been kind of complimenting both teams and saying how great RMC's looked up against Rebellion, how Rebellion's looked up against RMC. This was the first game where I think RMC really started to push themselves forward past the play of what Rebellion was bringing to the table. A lot more concerted effort on offense from RMC, and they were able to keep that offense going. Rebellion did not have an answer.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway, is that the offense never lets up. In this iteration of RMC, whatever they've changed, they are so willing to keep throwing numbers at the play, and not effortlessly. It's always in rotation with boost, always covering those weak spots that they've had in their counterattacks when they've been pulled off, trying to transition with another team, losing on those double commits, losing on defense where they look like they're just stalling and have no idea what they want to do. RMC are just very decisive right now, and that's just been a big change for this team. Welcome back in. That's me. That's him. W Raid as well from Apparently Jack. Shout out to you, and shout out to everybody who's been streaming the Shift Summer League. We hope you guys have been having fun. RMC look like they're once again in control of a series that they just understand how to play Rebellion defensively. For Rebellion, what needs to change? Is it just feed Parth? It can't be that simple. Corelli, what do you think?
No, I don't think it's ever that simple in any analysis, but I do think that they have to be a bit more proactive on their back wall. I feel like RMC have really taken advantage of them. And I think also, too, something that's kind of gone unsaid is RMC's physicality here throughout the series. And I think it's actually just the threat of that physicality has been a big problem for Rebellion. They know that they're going up against Reddles. They know that RMC like to chase players down. And so you're finding a lot more space from RMC because of this threat. And I think that Rebellion have really struggled to get their offense going, but right here, they've got the offense going just fine to strike first.
That is beautiful from Shopify. You get one demo, clears off the left side of the field, baits the defender left, you swing right, two-piece to close the deal, a 1-0 lead. And great plays downfield. The passing from Justin this entire Shift Summer League has been excellent. Shopify back on the board.
A great start for Rebellion. And it was a great shot. But for Rebellion, crucial that they start off on the right foot here, especially with the offense that RMC's been bringing.
Can Shopify rally this? That's going to be the big question. Skims it across the crossbar. Still threatening through the corner, centered out nicely. But Parth waiting. Didn't like the look. We'll give it to Justin, the world champion. Looking for the double. Justin trying to put it away. Sneaks it into the upper 90. Two-piece will close the deal. And a 2-0 lead. We thought it might be going 5, and at this rate, we might get our wish.
Yeah, that's a great touch from Justin, using his flip to catch up to the ball, and that throws off the defense. It comes off a Magic Bear, rolls out in front of two-piece, and he's got an open left side of the net. So for Rebellion, great way to start this game when backs are against the wall and you haven't allowed the RMC offense to get going.
If you're Shopify, you got to keep putting your foot on the pedal here. Cannot afford space for RMC at the midfield to start to pick you apart, especially on those long clears where you leave Magic Bear up overextending. You leave Reddles hanging off the backboard. They'll cherry pick it all day, every day. Into the midfield. Parth going to get the catch. Possession here for Shopify. Work through the 50. As the RMC defense tries to break out, it's a miss by Reynolds and a pass to Justin. He actually skims it and just a bit too high to handle.
And for Rebellion, this has been so far so good, but hold on a second. This net was open for a split second. Reynolds trying to get the bump. Not going to find it. And everyone pushed up from RMC. And now they whip back around. Magic Bear tried to pick this one up by himself, and a little confusion coming out from Rebellion. For a moment, allowed RMC back on the attack.
First times we've seen RMC at the midfield here in game number 4, trying to stave off a Champions Field situation. 2-1 lead for them. Great shot from the elbow. Cheese going to follow up. Better save from two-piece. Keeps them and their lead intact. And a long clear should lead way to a Parth shot. It will. Kicks it off the backboard. Two-piece following suit. Reynolds to Cheese in transition. Can't pull out of beast mode, but that's okay. It still looks pretty downfield.
That would have been crazy if Cheese put that one away, but there was really no shot of it. And now an opportunity for 2Piece and for Shopify. If they could put up 3, that's a deep hole for RMC to climb out of, but it's an open net. Great save from 2Piece as he streaks across his box and ensure a clean slate.
2Piece has been the guardian angel in this game. 2 massive saves. Has 2 goals as well. Massive 50 off the sidewall. Magic misses the double. Reynolds slots it perfectly. Cuts the lead in half.
And truthfully, I think RMC probably should have had one earlier than this. They're up to 9 shots so far. They've been all over Rebellion in the shooting department between the last 2 games. And credit to Rebellion, they have 7 here in this game, so it's not a staggering difference. The good news is Rebellion sitting up by a goal still.
These kickoffs have been so dangerous for Shopify because Cheese is just an X factor for some reason. The dude knows how to play on low boost. Strat not going to come out this time. Just in from the ceiling. Shopify feeling comfortable in the blue half. This time they'll pull back. Parth sitting close net. Cheese double is disgusting. And the equalizer in crazy fashion.
And that's great work from RMC working through the midfield. You talked about how we hadn't seen it too much, but it's 2Piece who misses the read off the back wall. It's routine for him. And he had boost to make it work, but just doesn't get the touch. And RMC, Cheese, a great little double. And they're back in this game.
Oh, I want to call it a tactical whiff from Cheese off the kickoff, but Shopify almost found the third. Oh, what a read from the sidewall. 2Piece starting to light up here in game 4. Defensively, offensively, on both sides of the ball, he's been excellent in this game. Everybody from Shopify has really stepped up in crunch time, but again, the speed of RMC is just something different with this team right now. Long booming clear by Reynolds, plenty of boost to follow as well from the ceiling. Reynolds makes the read and kicks it into the corner, so RMC will have to try to swing their offense through yet again.
And now RMC ramping up their offense, locking in Rebellion. Rebellion having to resort to some longer clears, players with low boost having to boom it out. Great little give and go. But for Rebellion, nothing comes of it. A flick on from Cheese will ensure RMC get out.
They do get a body block, but not enough to disrupt the play. The defense from Shopify should be able to handle this, and it will. Cheese with a lot of boost still beats the first touch. And the second. Looking for the third. Clips 2Piece on the way down. 1 demo to help. Power play here for RMC. Do they swing the offense through yet again? They've done it so many times. It's going to be Cheese on the first call. Justin actually avoids the bump. Gets it down and helps out. Parth into the corner. Will grab some resources, but back the other way we go.
RMC ran out of boost on that last attack, but now even with low boost, they're putting shots on target. 2Piece, big save. That's the 9th save coming out from Rebellion. The 12th shot from RMC, and they may not be done.
Magic Bear fighting tooth and nail through every single challenge on the sidewall. Allows for Reynolds to pop this up in space. Parth hovering like a drone, waiting to watch that one come down off the crossbar. Magic Bear has an opportunity and sneaks it under for the lead. 3-2 with 14 on the clock.
It's a little scary when the triple commit comes out from Rebellion, but they were able to recover slightly. But Magic Bear, he changes up the shot. Instead of a direct one, he bounces it in, and that was enough to finally defeat the defense of Rebellion.
2-1 series lead here for RMC. Avoiding Game 5 means so much for the seeding of the playoffs for next week. But do Shopify have enough left? They did it in Game 1. Can they do it here? The Champions Field, Justin, letting it drop down, but RMC stacked the goal line. GG's all around. We will not be going 5. And a massive win by RMC in this series to close it out in 4. And the boys keep digging deep and keep showing us they got more in the tank. That is a series win for RMC.
Again, another decently impressive series. Not maybe as impressive as the one we had last night, but seriously, impressive from RMC, especially in this final game and maybe the back half of Game 2 or Game 3 as well. But for RMC, really showing their fangs on offense. This was not an accidental win. This was not an accidental, victory in some of these games. RMC, they were out shooting, out attacking, out aggressing Shopify Rebellion, and they look to be the better team.
It is a shame that we won't be seeing this version of RMC at Worlds coming up, but the way they've been playing in the Shift Summer League needs to start putting people on notice, and hopefully it garners them some extra respect during this offseason because the boys have been putting in the work, and they clearly look like just a more evolved team than what we saw on Luminosity. But for Shopify, again, the road doesn't end by any stretch. We will see them next week. This just helps guarantee some seeding for RMC. I believe G2 actually just locked in the number 1 seed overall, so congratulations to them. They 3-0 Dignitas. So again, the Dignitas woes continue, but it didn't really matter that series necessarily for them. However, I think RMC gets the 2nd seed if math is correct. Yes, it is. And with that, I mean, RMC did their job. They came into this tournament. They wanted to prove that they were a different team, that they were good enough to be within that top 6, especially against good competition before Worlds. They do so, get the 2nd seed. They got G2 out in front, but that is your number 2 already locked up. For Shopify, I mean, even with this loss, I think you still feel pretty good about the team. We'll see him next week. Corelli, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think regardless, RMC's playing at a very high level right now. So, typically if we had just came out of RLCS, people would be like, oh man, I can't believe Rebellion's losing to RMC. But I think that you have to give some credit over to RMC. They're playing some darn good Rocket League and falling to them in the fashion that they did. Some close matches, albeit they, it didn't go in their favor, but some close matches from Rebellion. Tip cap say, listen, RMC's playing good Rocket League. Let's move on.
That's the big thing. And the other one is that we will not be having a tiebreaker because Shopify did not go to 5, and instead RMC closed it out here. So with that, let's bring back our host, Hootie Hoo, and let's talk to him about this series because we expected, or I should say, we predicted RMC to go the distance. They closed out in 4. Corelli was correct. But once more, Hootie, I mean, a really tight series. We all wanted to see it. It was close down to the wire, one of the most explosive we've seen today. And RMC continued to look really good, man.
I think in the top half of that series, I would have probably leaned even more heavily the Rebellion way, but RMC turned things around. It felt like towards the end of game 2, and from that point forward, it just felt very much in control. Obviously, they were close matches, but it did seem as though RMC just had control of things. They were confident, even after that pause, and they conceded quickly after they were able to score, get their wits about them, and take the victory there. So impressive stuff from RMC, and like you said, they have locked in that 2nd seed for playoffs, only behind G2. And with that, I think if OG win their series, they will be taking the 5th seed. They are currently in game 5 against Fun. They're up 2-1 with 1:14 on the clock. But I think everything else is set. We've got G2 as a 1 seed, RMC as a 2 seed, Space Station Gaming, number 3, Chinji Mobile One Racing, number 4. And for now, Rebellion is in 5th place, OG in 6th place. But of course, as I just said, if OG can get the victory here in game 5, that will flip-flop. But I mean, hey, Shift Summer League, the league play portion is coming to a close, and next week is going to be super exciting. Money on the line. It's playoffs time. No more double round robin. No more lives. We are into, we're into the intense part. We're going to be sending people home day after day, and I'm excited to see the action next week, Spaceman.
I'm very excited, man. League play is a bit of a grind to start, but once things get going, then the situations kick in. Then we start to see who needs what for what seeding, what teams you need to beat, I should say, to kind of have a more favorable run in the playoffs, right? And now we get to see the fruits of that labor. We get to see these teams, the best we have in the Shift Summer League, go head-to-head next week, and every single match matters. We're down to every single point, every goal, every single score will come down to the wire, and it's all for a lot of money, all for bragging rights. This is the biggest tournament we have before Worlds coming up, so I would expect all these teams to be going as hard as possible. I'm very excited to watch it.
Well, I'll tell you what else I'm excited about. We got the Prom King interview. Reddles is going to be joining us here in just a moment. I know everybody is looking forward to the Reddles interview. I swear every time RMC plays, the chat just explodes. They want to hear from Reddles, so we'll get to chat with him just in a moment once we get all set there. But I mean, any thoughts as we close out league play, Spaceman?
Quick thoughts outside of just I'm so glad that the top 6 I think really represents the best talent we've seen in this entire Shift Summer League. Quick thoughts, it's a phenomenal day of games, really great action across the board. Just been really enjoying the action. I saw somebody in chat say no team with Parth on it is winning anything. I think that's just a lie. Parth has been maybe the biggest standout on Shopify, and put some respect on Parth, because without him, they're probably not making it this deep into the run. He's been excellent.
Well, we do have Reddles here on the line, so let me chat with him for a moment.
Slater, get in here.
Get in there. Get in here, Slater.
There he is. There's our guy. There's our guy. Come on.
Well, congratulations on another victory there, Reddles. Top 2, you guys lock in the number 2 seed moving into playoffs. And, not just the 2 seed, but how you guys have done it. A very consistent showing throughout Shift Summer League. What does that feel like to I would say kind of prove some doubters wrong.
Testing. Is that better?
I can hear you fine.
Good now? Okay, we're here. I'm alive. Ask that question again, Hootie. I was fixing my mic. Didn't hear what you said.
Yes, so top 2, locking in that second seed, moving into the playoff bracket. And the way you guys have done this with consistent performances throughout this Shift Summer League, much more consistent than many of your peers. And I just want to know, how does that feel, kind of proving some doubters wrong?
It's good. I wish, of course, we could have done it in RLCS. Proving doubters wrong in the off season isn't the most fun to do it, but it's what we kind of believed in. It's what we kind of expected. I think the second split of the RLCS season was well below our standards, and we're gonna claw our way back up.
That's right. Now, I talked to Greg a few times throughout this summer league play here, and he has mentioned that you guys have had a little shift in your focus or a little shift in your play style, maybe trying to free you guys up a little bit and just rely on those instincts a little bit more. So talk to me about what that has done for you guys as a team.
Yeah, I mean, without getting too into it, I think it's very easy to overload yourself with, I have to do this, or my team has to do this, and so forth, and it makes it honestly harder than it does easier. So it's easier to sometimes just simplify things, and that's kind of what we've been working on. Trust our gut, trust our instincts. We obviously have a few set things that we're looking to do most of the time, but try and get back to free flowing a little bit.
Well, whatever you guys are doing, it's looking good. This is and we've heard the same from Spaceman and Corelli, who have watched you guys all season. Some of the best Rocket League that we've seen you guys play. Now, I've got a question that's not so much about gameplay and whatnot, but Reynolds, you are a player that has been on many different teams. You've been through league play. You kind of done the come up in a different era, and now you have held strong here throughout open circuit play as well. You've been on many different teams with veterans, with upcoming prodigies, etc. And I think you've done a great job as far as a professional, even balancing content creation and whatnot. And so I just want to ask, what do you have any words of wisdom or advice for newer players that are making their way into the pro scene?
It's tough. It's it's a very it's an esport, and all esports are hard to go pro, and all esports are hard to stay pro. And I think one piece of advice I'd give is don't fall victim to kind of how the top of especially NA RLCS has been. I think a lot of our top teams don't really play the game as much as they need to, as much as teams used to, and I think that kind of gives younger players an excuse to do the same thing. But always grind ones, grind twos, grind six mans, grind individual mechanics, put your best foot forward, because let's face it, you're not beast mode, you're not Daniel, you're not first killer, you can't rely on talent like that, and you can't, not to say those guys didn't work really hard as well, but just I think I'm still a very firm believer in anyone can be the best in the world. Some people do have to put in more work than others, but always put as much work in as you can.
I love that. Stay humble, stay hungry to the young guns. Well, Reynolds, congratulations on an awesome league play and a top 2 seed moving into the playoff bracket. Best of luck next week, and thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you, Hoodie. So good.
Now listen here, chat is cooking me right now. I am not calling Reynolds old, all right? That's not what's happening.
You call Mike King old? What's wrong with you, bud?
I'm calling him...
You're old, Hoodie.
You're old. How dare you? How dare you, bro?
I can't call anyone old. I'm probably the oldest person in the stream. Listen, Reynolds, great words of wisdom there. I could not agree more. And obviously, he is more tapped into the professional scene than I am. But I love that. Stay humble, stay hungry, continue to work for it. I hear similar sentiments echoed from other players that have found a lot of success. Don't take it for granted, right? Enjoy what you have. You've worked so hard to get there. Make sure that you get the most out of it. I love that from Reynolds. And I think that's apparent with that team and their work ethic. They never give up. They continue to believe in one another, and they work very hard. And it has showed here. The top 2, only behind G2. So a great showing from Reynolds. Here's what we're going to do. We've got the standings. Let's take a look at the conclusion of Shift Summer League and how things unfolded. G2 on top, 14-4. We're going to call it a tie for first place. That's what we're going to do. RMC tie for first place, 14-4 as well. Only one game separates those two. Not one series, one game separates those two. We've got Space Station with the 3rd seed, 12-6. Gen G with the 4th seed, 11-7. And I do want to make a quick note. Those top 4 that we mentioned, those are going to pop into the top half of this bracket. It's kind of a hybrid bracket. Some of the teams are going to get 2 lives. And the bottom two here in 5th and 6th place, Shopify Rebellion and OG, they are only going to get 1 life as they are plugged into the lower bracket. And Spaceman, you nailed it. This is a great representation of the top of NA. We've got some other fantastic talents here with Dig and Poab as well. And listen, there are some that unfortunately weren't able to make it into Shift Summer League, but I think this is such an awesome representation. We've got all 4 of our NA World Champions representatives here in that top 6, and 2 teams that I think a lot of people would love to see have a chance at the World Championship or something like a wild card. So incredible stuff here in NA. Any thoughts here, Corelli, as we wind down league play?
Well, the obvious thought is, shout out to RMC. They've done really well to really, I think, Reynolds said it in his interview, but I don't really care if it's an off-season thing or not. If you're signing up for a tournament, you're signing up for a league play, I expect you to bring your A game. I mean, the rest of us are, so I would hope that the players are as well. And for RMC, that was very clear. And I think that is a mentality that I really appreciate from any team. G2, I think, started slow, looked better throughout this league play as well. But it's nice to see a team that we didn't expect to be in the top 4 and comfortably in the top 4, maybe. And I think that's what made this league play so much fun to watch.
Spaceman, thoughts on the 3 weeks of league play?
I mean, seeing G2 at the top, I don't think is much of a surprise. I think, they had a bit of a slip up about halfway through this tournament. So seeing them lose 4 series, it's a joke, but I honestly thought they would maybe lose 1 or 2 and that's it. So still G2 being the best, no surprise. RMC, again, I think that's the story for me. We get a good spread of NA's best talent. Those are the best 6 teams in this tournament. So it's nice to see them being represented in the playoffs. But RMC has been the biggest boon to this tournament. It has been the #1 standout. They are the most consistent team I've seen. They have been the team the highest pop-off potential apparently in the last 2 days. And it's just great to see this squad work through the problems, work through the mistakes, and work to get better. I mean, Reynolds talked about it in his interview. You don't have to be beast mode or Zen to have an impact on the game or to get better or to try to be the best in the world. To show up every day, put in the work. That's what these guys have done day in, day out. And it's really great to see this team finally put it together. But I'm just so happy we get a really, really great top 6. This is exactly how it should have gone. And the playoffs are going to be nuts.
That's right. It is going to be nuts. Folks, if you have enjoyed the summer league play, you are going to have to tune in next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Let's take a look at the Shift RLE Twitch channel broadcast schedule. We've got some matches coming up next week for NA and EU. You can see there at, I'll just read them off in the NA times. First off, let me let you guys in on a little secret. Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we run Shiftcast. It's a podcast about Rocket League esports. Keep you guys up to date with everything that's going on around the scene. Tuesday next week, we've got the EU side of Shift Summer League. That's going to happen at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, NA, as always, at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and the same thing on Wednesday. So you're going to want to be tuned in, because next week it is a battle for the cash. This is what it all comes down to. The intensity is going to be ramped up, both from the player's side, but hey, we're going to ramp it up here as well. I know Spaceman and Corelli, that's what they do. They rock and roll. And next week for playoffs, we're going to have an awesome show. I am so excited to bring it to you. One time before we get out of here, I do need to first mention the graphic that we showed. We did have SR and OG flip-flop. I see some questions in the chat. Let's go ahead and address that. Those are flip-flop. We'll get it right. You can check Wikipedia. It will all be updated before next week. But we've got to say thank you to Shift. We've got to say thank you to the production team. Of course, thank you to all the talent across both broadcasts, Europe and NA. It's been so much fun. And so many people doing such great work behind the scenes to make this whole thing go. And of course, shout out to all the teams participating, putting on a show for all of us. We love that. We've had a great time for the league play throughout these 3 weeks, but it's not done yet. We've got 2 more days. Playoff bracket next week. Stay tuned. Stay locked. We're going to be bringing you the action. That is it for Shift Summer League week number 3. Catch you next time.